Chapter 2691, Mysterious Land 3. An ordinary shop could openly sell heaven-level divine weapons. It was no big deal if they were in an exclusive auction venue. However, the shops they were in now looked like your average street stall open to everyone. Heaven-level divine weapons were very rare in the divine venerate domain. Only immortal emperor-level experts were qualified to possess them. Which one of the great immortal temple disciples had ever owned a heaven-level divine weapon? The great immortal temple disciples stared at the dazzling array of heaven-level divine weapons. They looked like they had just received a precious treasure, and were overjoyed. Senior brother Zhou Yun, you are holding the great sun divine saber. One of the great immortal temple disciples stared at the long saber in the purple-haired youth's hand excitedly. I think so. The purple-haired young man nodded. Senior brother Zhou Yun, my cultivation technique is very compatible with the great sun divine saber. The purple-haired youth snorted. Junior brother, what are you thinking? This is a heaven-level divine weapon. But suddenly, the purple-haired youth looked slightly stunned. His gaze instinctively landed on the many divine weapons hanging on the wall. Without a word, he threw the great sun divine saber at that great immortal temple disciple. Take it, take it. It's just a heaven-level divine weapon. I wield dual sabers, so I'll take two. Does anyone have any objections? Wait, my supernatural power is that I can grow 2 more arms. It's reasonable for me to take 4. At that moment, Lan Shan stared at the crowd with an anxious expression. I have always had a wish. Junior brothers and sisters, can you help me fulfill my wish? Wish? Everyone was stunned and confused. Senior brother Lan Shan, what's your wish? One of the disciples looked at Lan Shan curiously. I always wanted to open a weapons shop. Lan Shan said with a straight face. Yi Qingtang, Wan Rong, all the disciples. Senior brother Lan Shan, I only want 4 weapons and already feel rather abashed at that. And you are claiming that you want to open a weapons shop? How are you planning to do that? You just want to keep everything for yourself. Having been exposed, Lan Shan looked a little embarrassed. Forget it. I want to open a weapons shop. You guys go ahead and choose first. I will take the rest. There are dozens of heaven-level weapons here. You will still gain a good number of weapons from the leftovers. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. After about 15 minutes, the great immortal temple disciples happily carried several heaven-level divine weapons out of the shop. Wan Rong looked at herself and Yi Qingtang. Their hands were empty. These people did not leave anything for them. Bang! Before Wan Rong could say anything, the young man at the front had only taken half a step out of the shop when he was sent flying. He slammed heavily into the wall of the shop. The weapons in his hands fell to the ground. Who ambushed me? The young man stood up and scanned the crowd. Who ambushed you? Don't speak nonsense. Lan Shan frowned. What happened? He was indeed thrown by a mysterious force. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2692, Mysterious Land 4. A strange glint surfaced in Yi Qingtang's eyes as she looked around. Immediately after, a second great immortal temple disciple who had just stepped out of the shop was sent flying back with a bang, just like the young man from before. What's going on? The 2 disciples looked at each other in dismay. They had been sent flying by some mysterious force and were unable to leave the shop. I don't believe this. The young man who had just been sent flying picked up the heaven-level divine weapon from the ground and ran out of the shop again. But bang! Everyone saw the young man's body flying in an arc through the air. He was thrown back and collapsed on the ground. The young man was just about to charge forward when Lan Shan grabbed him. Don't be impulsive. Lan Shan shook his head. There's something wrong with this shop. Yi Qingtang strode out of the shop. Lan Shan was stunned. He was about to call out to Yi Qingtang, but she had already stepped out of the shop. She was not thrown back. Everyone saw that Yi Qingtang was now standing outside the shop unscathed. The purple-haired young man stared at Yi Qingtang in surprise and confusion. Junior sister Yi Yu, how did you manage to leave? Yi Qingtang lowered her head in deep thought. After a moment, she looked at Zhou Yun and said, "Perhaps it's because I didn't take any heaven-level divine weapons." Huh. The disciples in the shop looked at each other in dismay. Realization dawned on everyone after hearing Yi Qingtang's words. They had been so excited and thrilled that they had not thought about this properly. But they realized that this really seemed to be the case. The two disciples who were sent flying both had several heaven-level divine weapons in their hands. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang's hands were empty and she left the shop unscathed. "Junior sister Yi Yu, you mean that these divine weapons in the shop cannot be brought out of the shop?" Wan Rong looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang nodded. "If I'm not wrong, that should be the case. Let me try." Wan Rong stepped out of the shop. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. Indeed. I was not stopped. Wan Rong looked at Yi Qingtang. "Everyone don't move." Suddenly, the young man who had been sent flying shouted. In front of everyone, he threw several heaven-level divine weapons to the side. The young man strode out of the shop. The disciples were surprised to see the young man successfully walk out of the shop. As Yi Qingtang predicted, if one tried to leave the shop with the heaven-level divine weapons, they would be sent back into the shop by an invisible mysterious force. None of the divine weapons in the shop could be brought out. So these heaven-level divine weapons can't be taken away, so we can only look at them. A female Great Immortal Temple disciple gritted her teeth, as if she could not accept this outcome. They had always dreamed of obtaining a divine weapon. Now a whole array was right in front of them, and they could even feel their divine power. Furthermore, no one was fighting with them for it. But they could only look at them and could not take any away. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2693. Customer, do you want to buy something? 1. This situation was unacceptable to everyone. If it were some ordinary weapons, it wouldn't have mattered that much. But these were heaven-level divine weapons. We might as well not have entered this shop. The purple-haired young man scoffed. Senior brother Zhou Yun is right. I'd rather have never seen these divine weapons. Now I don't want to ever leave this shop. A disciple sighed softly. Senior brother Lan Shan, quickly, your chance has come. Zhou Yun's gaze landed on Lan Shan. Lan Shan was taken aback. He didn't quite understand what Zhou Yun meant. What do you mean? Lan Shan asked. Senior brother Lan Shan, isn't your biggest wish to open a weapons shop? Now is your chance. This weapons shop will be yours from now on. Zhou Yun chuckled. Get lost. Lan Shan glanced at Zhou Yun. Who would want to be a shopkeeper of a shop where no one could bring anything out? Senior brothers and sisters, what should we do now? Are we going to just watch as these heaven-level divine weapons are left here and collecting dust? A young and shy Great Immortal Temple disciple asked Yi Qingtang and the rest. What else can we do? We can't take them out. Lan Shan shrugged. Everyone present felt their hearts ache. However, there was nothing they could do. Senior brother. At that moment, a Great Immortal Temple disciple ran out from another shop nearby. He stared at Lan Shan and the others excitedly. I went to another shop just now. Do you want to know what's inside? Zhou Yun glanced at the disciple and said indifferently, Scram. I don't want to know. Don't tell us. Lan Shan covered his ears in despair. He also did not want to know. I must say it. The man looked excited. There are so many immortal stones. Not only that, but there are also many manuals describing array formations, and even one with a heaven-defying divine power. Unfortunately, I can't open the secret manuals. Oh right, there's also... Shut up, Lan Shan said fiercely, covering his ears. It's not like we can bring them out. Stop telling us. Wan Rong glanced at the man. Yes, I can't bring them out of the shop. I nearly suffered internal injuries from the impact just now. The man sighed, his eyes filled with disappointment. As they spoke, a strange crack sound came from inside the weapons shop, as if something hard had crashed into the ground. Everyone instinctively looked inside the shop. After a few breaths, a pale skeleton appeared. Get ready! Lan Shan shouted. In the next second, all the great immortal temple disciples gathered around Lan Shan. The skeleton was standing in the shop. Its empty eyes swept across the crowd. Soon afterward, everyone saw that the skeleton opened its mouth. Although no sound came out, a strange voice was mentally transmitted to everyone's minds. Customers, what can I do for you? This was the general gist of the voice echoing in their minds. What are you? Lan Shan frowned deeply as he stared at the terrifying skeleton standing in the shop. Hello customers. I am the shopkeeper of this weapons shop. Sir, do you need weapons? The weapons in our shop are not very good, only heaven level, but the price is fair. The voice floated in everyone's minds. Even Yi Qingtang was surprised. Chapter 2694. Customer, do you want to buy something? 2. At that moment, all the great immortal temple disciples were staring at the skeleton with shocked expressions. This skeleton could actually communicate with them via mental voice transmission. It was unimaginable. This skeleton can actually talk. Wan Rong exclaimed. Wait, did you hear what it just said? It said that it's the shopkeeper of this shop. Indeed, it did say that. I heard it. Everyone thought that this dilapidated ancient city was a dead place and no living creature would appear. Who would have expected that such a creature would appear in this shop filled with heaven-level divine weapons? And it even claimed to be the shopkeeper. However, after careful consideration, the skeleton could not be considered a living thing. How could a skeleton be considered alive? Let me ask you, what is this place and what are you? Lan Shan shouted coldly at the skeleton. Customer, do you require a weapon? The skeleton in the shop kept repeating the same words, as if it would not answer any question not regarding the weapons in the shop. Strange, Lan Shan was deep in thought. This place was too strange. Can we take away the heaven-level divine weapons? Yi Qingtang suddenly asked the skeleton. The skeleton opened its mouth after hearing Yi Qingtang's words. This is a low-tier ancient city and only sells heaven-level divine weapons. If you want to obtain a higher-level weapon, please head to a middle-tier or high-tier ancient city. A low-tier ancient city's heaven-level divine weapon is priced between 10 to 50 curse points. After the required curse points are successfully deducted, you can bring a heaven-level divine weapon away from here. The great immortal temple disciples looked at each other. The skeleton had offered so much information just now. They needed time to slowly digest everything. Low-tier, mid-tier and high-tier ancient cities. What does that mean? The purple-haired youth looked somewhat surprised. Congratulations, lucky cultivators. There are many magical ancient cities here. If you find an ancient city, you will be able to obtain a large number of supplies. Even if you lose your limbs, as long as you have enough curse points, you can quickly recover after paying up the corresponding points. However, no matter how many curse points you obtain, if you cannot find an ancient city, you will not be able to spend your points, the skeleton explained to everyone. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Cursed points. Lan Shan and the rest were stunned. They did not know what curse points were at all. It probably can be understood as currency, Yi Qingtang said to Lan Shan and the rest after pondering for a moment. Interesting. One of the youths smiled. I roughly understand what this skeleton is talking about. In this realm, there should be many similar ancient cities. And every ancient city has different treasures. For example, this ancient city has heaven-level divine weapons as well as other enchanted treasures. Perhaps another ancient city has other things. We can use curse points to buy them. Yes, your analysis is right. It makes sense. You said exactly what I was thinking. Lan Shan nodded at the young man. The young man looked awkward when he heard that. He turned to Lan Shan and said, Senior brother Lan Shan is truly intelligent. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2695. Customer, do you want to buy something? 3. Lan Shan glanced at the young man and said, But of course. Do I still need you to tell me that I'm intelligent? Everyone here knows that. Then senior brother Lan Shan, do you know how to obtain cursed points? Wan Rong asked Lan Shan. Lan Shan was slightly taken aback by Wan Rong's question. His expression was stern as he pondered for a moment before saying, as for curse points, they're actually currency that can be used in the ancient cities. As long as you have curse points, you can buy anything you want. Wan Rong sneered. Lan Shan, that skeleton explained all that just now. You don't have to tell us, we all know. What I'm asking you is how to obtain cursed points. That's right. If we don't have cursed points, even if we are in the ancient city and can see all these treasures, what's the point? We can only look but not bring them away. Another disciple pointed out. Cursed points can be obtained by killing any living being. The stronger the living being is, the more curse points can be obtained. There are actually many other ways to obtain cursed points. Cultivators have to slowly explore the options on their own. The skeleton continued its explanation. Gain curse points by killing living creatures? Everyone's expressions turned strange. Were there living creatures here? Wait, are we considered living beings? Lan Shan suddenly looked at everyone. I think so. We will get curse points if we kill each other. Kill each other? Is there something wrong with your brain? No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is that other than our great immortal temple, many disciples from the supreme factions have entered this place. If we kill those disciples from the supreme factions, won't we get a lot of curse points? Junior brother Zhang has a point. I agree. Lan Shan nodded. So this is to encourage us to kill? Wan Rong was deep in thought. Not necessarily. Yi Qingtang shook her head and continued. That skeleton was talking about living beings. Apart from the disciples of the supreme factions, there might be other living beings. Junior sister Yi, you make sense. That is also exactly what I wanted to say. Lan Shan nodded hurriedly at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang. She had never seen such a shameless person. The skeleton suddenly said, Cultivators, I'm not sure if you want to know the method to obtain cursed points at this place. You can choose to accept it or reject it. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Before anyone could say anything, Lan Shan hurriedly said, Everyone, don't speak rashly. This thing is too strange. If we kill it, we might be able to bring out all the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop. Without giving anyone a chance to speak, Lan Shan rushed into the shop. Lan Shan and the skeleton faced each other. Are you considered a living being? Lan Shan shouted as a thick and terrifying aura appeared around him. He slammed his palm onto the skeleton. Boom! With a loud bang, the skeleton shattered into pieces. Killed the shopkeeper of the ancient city. Reward, 50 curse points. An ethereal voice suddenly echoed from all directions. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2696. Customer, do you want to buy something? 4. Everyone was shocked when they heard the ethereal voice. That actually worked. In this ancient city, every shop must have a shopkeeper like that skeleton, right? If they killed all the shopkeepers, they should be able to get a lot of curse points. That's not right. Zhou Yun looked at the skeleton that had been shattered by Lan Shan. He said expressionlessly, If we kill all the shopkeepers, even if we can get a lot of curse points, who will sell us the items? Without the shopkeepers, how can we make the transaction? As he spoke, Lan Shan had already grabbed a bunch of heaven-level divine weapons and was about to rush out of the shop. However, Lan Shan was sent flying back by an invisible force before he could leave the shop. This still doesn't work, Lan Shan sighed. He tossed the heaven-level divine weapons onto the ground, a helpless look on his face. Lan Shan, you killed the shopkeeper. Even if we get curse points, who are we going to trade them for these heaven-level divine weapons? Wan Rou frowned at Lan Shan. Lan Shan was taken aback by Wan Rong's words. It seemed like that was indeed the case. Without the shopkeeper, it was impossible to trade. Those heaven-level divine weapons would probably stay in this shop forever now. Kill a shopkeeper of the ancient city, and be rewarded with 50 curse points. Revive a shopkeeper of the ancient city for 100 curse points. Before Lan Shan could say anything, the ethereal voice rang out again. As that ethereal voice faded, everyone saw the shattered bones being rapidly recovered to its original state. Not only that, a colorful light appeared around Lan Shan, showing the information about his cursed points. Negative 50 curse points? Zhou Yin looked at Lan Shan with a strange expression. Why would he lose 50 points? Didn't he get 50 curse points for killing the shopkeeper just now? This is too strange. One of the great immortal temple disciples said in surprise. He was indeed rewarded with 50 curse points, but that ethereal voice also said that 100 points would be deducted to revive the shopkeeper. Could this be the case? This shopkeeper was killed by senior brother Lan Shan, so his points would be deducted to revive it. That's possible. It must be as junior brother Zhang said. Otherwise, how could senior brother Lan Shan have lost 50 curse points? What a big loss. At this moment, Lan Shan's face was gloomy as he sneered. Negative 50 points? What a joke. I want pay up. What can you do about it? Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. That's right, senior brother Lan Shan. No one can do anything to you. What a joke. Do you think I was born timid? At most, I won't buy any rare treasures. Forget about negative 50 curse points. Go ahead and give me negative 1,000 or negative 10,000 points if you dare. No one can do anything to me. Lan Shan pursed his lips nonchalantly. However, the ethereal voice sounded once again. It was like a muffled thunderclap. All cultivators with negative points must replenish their points by the next day. Otherwise, they will be killed. Silence descended upon the room. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2697. Curse Points 1. The great immortal temple disciples were all stunned by the ethereal voice. Even Yi Qingtang did not expect a cultivator to be killed if he did not replenish negative cursed points by the next day. Yi Qingtang had never experienced such a strange and indescribable thing in her life. Curse points in exchange for divine weapons? Negative curse points? Killed just because one had negative cursed points? Although there was no evidence and it was just a verbal warning, Yi Qingtang somehow felt that the ethereal voice was not joking. In fact, Yi Qingtang had a strange feeling that if senior brother Lan Shan did not take this seriously, and did not make up for the curse points he owed by the next day, it was very likely that he would really be killed. However, Yi Qingtang did not know how Lan Shan would be killed. Senior brother Lan Shan. This. One of the girls looked at the bewildered Lan Shan in surprise. Lan Shan cleared his throat and said seriously, "What are you afraid of? They are just bluffing. Kill me? Let whoever wants to kill me come." That's right. I don't believe they can kill a Heaven Emperor level practitioner just like that. Zhou Yin sneered. Cultivators, you will be rewarded with curse points for killing any living creature. Other than the shopkeepers of the ancient city, 50 curse points will be deducted from you for killing a shopkeeper. If you do not make up the points by early morning the next day, you will be killed. The revived skeleton spoke. Haha, shopkeeper, I'm really sorry. It was just an accident. It was just a misunderstanding. Didn't you say that there is a method to give us curse points? We need it. Lan Shan said hurriedly. You are the first batch of cultivators to discover this low-tier ancient city, and can be rewarded with curse points. If you agree, please enter my shop. The skeleton invited the group inside. Junior sister Yiyu, what do you think? Wan Rong looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang remained silent. Ever since they entered the Void Rift and came here, everything felt so strange. Everything they saw was completely unheard of. Regardless, the current situation was not optimistic. Lan Shan had crushed the shopkeeper with a single slap of his hand, and had 50 points deducted. According to the ethereal voice, if Lan Shan could not make up the points by the next day, he would be killed. Although this sounded like some fantasy story, it was better to believe it than not to believe it. What if it was true and he did not obtain enough cursed points? What should they do then? If it was true, senior brother Lanshan would be killed immediately. Even if it was only a 1% chance, they could not take this risk. Let's try. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. After a long time, Yi Qingtang stated her decision to Wan Rong and the other disciples. We accept. Zhou Yin looked at the skeleton. With that, Yi Qingtang and the disciples walked into the shop. Begin. The scene in front of Yi Qingtang changed instantly. It was no longer a shop or any part of the ancient city in front of them. The day had turned into night, and waves of cheers and laughter rang out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2698. The Truth About the Destruction 1. When Yi Qingtang looked around, she saw that she was in a huge capital city. The sky was already dark, but the surroundings were brightly lit. People hurried along the streets, but she could see many practitioners dressed like monks. There were also some Taoists who exuded an immortal aura. Wan Rong was surprised. Not only was the architecture incredibly different from the divine venerate domain, even the spiritual energy in the air was astonishingly dense. The fourth domain. A moment later, Lanshan, who had been silent the entire time, spoke up. Lanshan sized up some of the passing Taoists and monks with his profound gaze. He muttered, "Actually, the monk ancestors of our great immortal temple are experts from the fourth domain." No one refuted this. Most of the disciples who had joined the great immortal temple earlier knew of this fact. Generally speaking, apart from the fourth domain, there were very few Taoists and monks in the other three domains. It was rumored that in the fourth domain, there was an immortal Buddha martial arts system. The top practitioners could become immortal Buddhas. They could sense the supreme power of the great Tao, and even use it for themselves. It was impossible for them to determine the true extent of the martial arts culture in the fourth domain. However, there was one thing that could be confirmed. The level of martial arts culture in the fourth domain was worlds apart compared to the present domains. Is this really the fourth domain? Zhu Yin asked. All along, the fourth domain had only existed in legends. No one had seen the booming martial arts culture of this era. It's very possible. Just the density of the spirit energy here is way beyond that of the divine venerate domain. In addition, the immortal Buddha martial arts culture here is so prosperous. Lanshan agreed with a nod. So this is just an illusion, Wan Rong said. It must be an illusory realm. The fourth domain has already been destroyed. If this is really the fourth domain, it can only be an illusory realm. Another disciple piped up. Yi Qingtang did not speak. Instead, she only looked around. That's strange. Why do you think the shopkeeper of the ancient city sent us to this illusory realm? Could it be that he wants us to see the flourishing scene of the fourth domain? Not necessarily. Yi Qingtang suddenly spoke up. Everyone's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. Perhaps it's because of the truth. Yi Qingtang said. The truth? Lanshan frowned slightly. I think I understand. Junior sister Yiyu, what truth? Wan Rong asked curiously. Among them, Yi Qingtang was the most dependable and intelligent. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. If I'm not wrong, it should be The Truth About the Fourth Domain's Destruction. Yi Qingtang muttered after pondering for a moment. Everyone was surprised. The truth about the destruction of the fourth domain. In fact, there were many theories regarding the destruction of the fourth domain. There were rumors that the fourth domain was destroyed by a natural disaster, or that it was due to a heavenly tribulation. There were also legends that the fourth domain was destroyed because of internal strife. Then there were those who claimed that they were destroyed by invincible deities or true devils. However, the exact details remained an unsolved mystery. One of the younger disciples said softly, Senior sister Yiyu is indeed meticulous in her thinking. I also made the same conjecture. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2699. The Truth About the Destruction 2. Zhang Qi, what do you know? You're just making assumptions. You're behaving like senior brother Lan Shan now. Another disciple from the great immortal temple scolded him with a smirk. Wan Rong immediately glanced at that disciple and said, "You probably don't know junior brother Zhang Kai's background." Junior brother Zhang's background? What's his background? Wan Rong chuckled. Zhang Qi is the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom. He's famous for his intelligence. Supreme Heavenly Kingdom's imperial advisor. Some of the disciples who didn't know Zhang Kai's background were surprised. The Supreme Heavenly Kingdom was the most powerful empire in the Divine Venerate domain. It was as powerful as a peak supreme faction in the Divine Venerate domain. Zhang Qi had once been the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom. From this, it could be seen that Zhang Qi was no ordinary person. Senior sister Wan Rong, that's all in the past. There's no need to talk about it now, Zhang Qi said with a smile. Junior brother Zhang Qi, please explain your earlier statement. Yi Qingtang looked at Zhang Qi. Zhang Qi nodded. Senior sister Yi Yu is right. The reason that the shopkeeper sent us here might be related to the destruction of the fourth domain. Actually, I'd like to hear your opinion. Yi Qingtang answered without hesitation. As everyone knows, almost everything regarding the fourth domain has been completely wiped out. However, the opening of the fourth domain's legacy is a huge turning point. And the owner of this legacy has billions of soul bones. I guess that he was very likely the only surviving immortal Buddha after the fourth domain was destroyed. That's right. Senior sister Yi Yu, please continue, Zhang Qi hurriedly said. Perhaps after this immortal Buddha died, he was unwilling to let all the evidence be erased. Therefore, he constructed everything about the fourth domain in his own deity ocean, including the information about the destruction of the fourth domain. He will tell future generations what happened in the fourth domain, and how it was completely wiped out from this world. Yi Qingtang shared her thoughts. Ah, senior sister Yi Yu, no wonder Uncle Master Absolute Heaven Saint asked you to be the commander of this operation. From the looks of it now, his judgment is extremely accurate. Senior sister Yi Yu's analysis is reasonable. You were able to infer so much from so little. It's admirable, Zhang Qi said to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang smiled. Perhaps she was influenced by Ling Yan. She was only speculating according to Ling Yan's analysis methods. It was a pity that Ling Yan was not here. Otherwise, he would definitely be able to see the truth. Junior sister Yi Yu is right. It's just that there are some missing details. I don't think there are any survivors. When the fourth domain was destroyed, the owner of the legacy might have been severely injured. He used his last bit of strength to escape the fourth domain before falling into the Divine Venerate domain. Otherwise, the owner of the legacy could have told the world what happened in the fourth domain. He was about to die and had no choice but to store everything in his deity ocean, said Lan Shan. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Senior brother Lan Shan is right. Yi Qingtang glanced at Lan Shan. So we just have to wait and see. Zhang Qi smiled. However, as Zhang Qi spoke, several terrifying auras instantly locked onto everyone present. In the next second, a few golden figures descended from the sky. Without any warning, a huge destructive Buddha palm pressed towards Yi Qingtang. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2700. Silver Star Holy Lord 1. Everyone's expressions changed at this sudden turn of events. The tremendous pressure was like that of a perfected immortal or Buddha. It was suffocating. Immortal Buddha bloodline, standing under the golden Buddha palm. The power of the immortal Buddha bloodline that had been long hidden in her body flowed into Yi Qingtang's blood in that instant. With the activation of her immortal Buddha bloodline, the oppressive aura disappeared. In fact, Yi Qingtang could even calmly watch the supreme Buddha palm pressing down. Be careful. At the side, Wanrong's expression was anxious. She grabbed Yi Qingtang and made to escape. However, the speed of the Buddha palm was too fast. No matter how fast Yi Qingtang and Wanrong were, they were still too slow. Boom. A loud boom spread throughout the entire venue and exploded like muffled thunder, pounding at everyone's eardrums. Dust flew everywhere, and an indescribably huge pit was created in the ground by the Buddha palm. Golden lightning crisscrossed the surface of the pit. Its power was even more terrifying than that of a heavenly tribulation. Currently, Wanrong and Yi Qingtang were standing in the deep pit. The Buddha's palm has passed through them without any effect. The palm looked invincible, but it just passed through their bodies without any substantial damage. Illusion, Yi Qingtang muttered. Junior sister Yi, you mean that nothing in this illusory realm can harm us? Wanrong asked Yi Qingtang. Senior sister Wanrong, the fourth domain no longer exists. Everything here should be just a memory of the legacy owner. Even if he used a heaven-defying divine power to preserve and seal his memories in his deity ocean, it will not pose any threat to us, Yi Qingtang explained. This power is the first time in my life that I felt it. Even though everything is fake, the power is overwhelming and feels extremely real. One of the great immortal temple disciples looked at Yi Qingtang with lingering fear. Just now, when the huge Buddha palm was pressing down, the disciples all thought that they were going to die. They did not expect to end up unharmed. Everything is just an illusion. No need to panic. Zhang Qi chuckled. Several piercing sounds rang out in the air. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. In the next second, several Taoists and men dressed as monks slowly landed in the deep pit. Their feet did not touch the ground as they floated in mid-air. Their clothes fluttered in the wind as the supreme aura of an immortal Buddha assaulted their faces. These people all have the immortal Buddha bloodline. Yi Qingtang pondered as she stared at the people in front of her. Now Yi Qingtang was even more certain now that this was the fourth domain. The immortal Buddha bloodline was unique to the fourth domain. It was also the noblest bloodline in the fourth domain. She was considered an anomaly. Strange. One of the Taoists stood with his hands behind his back. His ink-black long hair cascaded to his waist. There was a silver star between his brows. His face was extremely beautiful, and his every move was extremely dignified. Holy Lord, what now? A young monk was staring at the Holy Lord with the silver star between his brows. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2701. Silver Star Holy Lord 2. The eyes of that silver star Holy Lord suddenly turned silver. Two terrifying silver beams shot out from his eyes like starlight as they swept towards the deep pit. Strong auras, but nothing there, the silver star Holy Lord muttered. Yi Qingtang, Wanrong and the rest looked at each other. This guy could actually sense their aura. Yi Qingtang and the others did not exist at all in this era and in this memory, and these people were just memory fragments. Even so, the great immortal temple disciples could not imagine just how powerful these people would be if they really existed. Don't be so loud. I'm afraid they might hear you. One of the great immortal temple disciples' expressions changed slightly. Don't worry. They would have discovered us long ago if they could see us. To them, we are transparent and do not exist at all. After all, as junior sister Yi Yu said, these existences are just memories of the owner of the soul bone. No one refuted these words. Even if they were really discovered, they would still be safe. Memories could not harm or reverse reality. Yi Qingtang ignored their discussions. Her gaze landed on the silver star Holy Lord, and surprise flashed across her eyes. This silver star Holy Lord looked exactly like Ling Yan. Moreover, his silver eyes were filled with the extremely terrifying power of the heavenly Tao. Yi Qingtang stared at the silver star Holy Lord with a slight frown. Why was it that this existence in front of her looked exactly like Ling Yan, but his aura and mannerisms were different? Moreover, this heavenly Tao power was too terrifying and could not be compared to the trace of heavenly Tao power that Yi Qingtang absorbed. The prophecy might be true. the Silver Star Holy Lord muttered after a long time. An imperceptible ripple appeared in his calm eyes. Holy Lord, are you saying 1,000 years ago? One of the monks asked with a frown. Correct. Silver Star Holy Lord nodded, recovering his cold attitude. In the upper realm, the perfected immortal from the Karma bloodline clan previously said that 1,000 years from now, my domain will suffer an apocalypse. Apocalypse? One of the Taoists looked pensive. Holy Lord, do not worry yourself. We are in charge of this domain. There's no need to worry about the so-called apocalypse. Hi monk. I heard that you have some grand disciples who have gone to the divine venerate domain. The Silver Star Holy Lord's gaze landed on the eldest monk who had yet to speak. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The monk he was referring to was dressed in thin clothes. His hands were clasped together, and there was a golden Buddha totem on his glabella. He floated in midair and was motionless, but his body inadvertently emitted a monstrous aura, as if nothing in this world could invade him. The High Monk's grand disciples have indeed entered the mortal world and gone to the divine venerate domain, to suppress the evil in that world. Another one of the monks nodded. At least some juniors had stayed behind. The Silver Star Holy Lord said indifferently. Holy Lord, what do you mean by that? You can stop our domain from being destroyed just because you said so? There's nothing wrong with what the Holy Lord said, but the mandate of heaven cannot be violated. The High Monk, who had been silent the entire time, finally spoke up. Even if it's mandated by heaven, I want to try, said the Silver Star Holy Lord. Try what? To defy the heavens, the Silver Star Holy Maiden stated, his eyes erupting with a terrifying light. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2702, Destruction 1. To defy the heavens, everyone looked at each other. What did the fourth domain encounter in that distant era? Why would this Taoist say such heaven-defying words? As Yi Qingtang's gaze landed on the Silver Star Holy Lord, a frown crossed her face, and she did not pay much attention to the others. All she could think of was why this Silver Star Holy Lord looked exactly like Ling Yan. I am the reincarnation of the Temple of Paragon's paragon. Could Ling Yan be the reincarnation of this Taoist? Yi Qingtang continued staring at the Silver Star Holy Lord as she pondered. It had to be said that although Ling Yan and the Silver Star Holy Lord looked the same, their auras were different. However, before Yi Qingtang could think further, the Silver Star Holy Lord raised his head slightly and looked into the sky with a profound gaze. He said in a mild voice, "You're here." The High Monk also looked up into the sky. Meanwhile, the great immortal temple disciples looked a little puzzled. They did not know what had happened, nor did they know what the Silver Star Holy Lord meant. However, in the next second, a thunderous voice spread throughout the entire place. It was like the sound of thunder from the netherworld, causing one's heart to tremble. After that, a red light engulfed heaven and earth. At the end of the horizon, it was as if a pair of hands had parted the clouds in the night. Blood-colored eyes were staring downwards. What happened? Lan Shan's expression changed slightly. Look, it seems like a pair of hands are parting the clouds over there. One of the disciples exclaimed. Everyone looked at each other. A pair of hands were parting the clouds? No, it doesn't just look like it. A sweet-looking female disciple shook her head in shock. There really is a pair of hands parting the clouds. The expressions of the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk finally changed. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Since you have come, you might as well show yourself. The High Monk pressed his palms together as he spoke in a soft voice. Everyone looked up again. The phenomenon from before had already disappeared. Now, a black shadow was descending from the sky. It was just standing quietly in the sky without moving, but the aura from the black shadow was overwhelming. Engulfed by this suppressive force, even Yi Qingtang and the rest felt that they could not breathe. It was as if they were suppressed by thousands of huge mountains. Is this really an illusion? Why do I feel that we will die? Sensing the indescribable pressure of the divine power, Lan Shan's expression changed, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Under the suppression of this power, it seemed like they would die on the spot. It is still an illusory realm. There's no need to worry. Zhang Qi spoke softly. These exist only in the memories of the owner of the soul bones. However, if that black shadow is already so terrifying in a mere memory, what kind of level will it be at if it really exists in reality? Did that black shadow destroy the fourth domain? Zhou Yun frowned. Impossible. The fourth domain is such a powerful existence. 10 or even 100 divine venerate domains cannot compare to the fourth domain. How could it be destroyed by a single existence? Another disciple disagreed. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2703. Destruction 2. Indeed, for an individual to completely wipe out the fourth domain alone, it was hard to believe. Even Yi Qingtang found it difficult to comprehend what kind of existence could completely wipe out the fourth domain. At that moment, the black figure in the sky scanned the area below, ignoring what the high monk said. In the next second, an unbelievable scene happened. A fiery light shot out of the black shadow's eyes. Immediately, a huge python appeared from the light. What kind of demon beast is that? Lan Shan was shocked and filled with disbelief. The huge python was more than 100,000 feet long. Its body was so huge that it was indescribable. If an ordinary person were to walk along this python, it would probably take more than 10 days from head to tail. Just the python's head alone was about the size of Yi Qingtang's hometown. Heaven-devouring beast? Zhou Yun's expression changed as he exclaimed. Zhang Qi said thoughtfully, I was once the imperial advisor of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom, and have done some research on ancient demons. It is just as senior brother Zhou Yun said. According to the records, this beast is indeed like one of those heaven-devouring beasts. In the early stages, it will be about 30,000 meters long. It will grow 30,000 meters every 1,000 years. 10,000-year-old heaven-devouring beasts can reach up to hundreds of thousands of feet. Then after that, their growth will slow down. The longest it can grow is millions of feet. Its body is boundless and can devour the world with one bite. It really is a heaven-devouring beast. This is the first time I've seen a heaven-devouring beast. Zhang Qi stared at the indescribably large python in the sky. It's really strange. Heaven-devouring beasts only exist in records. No one has ever seen them before. Back then, we always believed that heaven-devouring beasts were just a fairy tale and not real. Could it be that there really are heaven-devouring beasts in this world? In fact, there were many records of ancient demon beasts that had never been verified. Apart from the heaven-devouring beast, there were many invincible and powerful demon beasts, such as the Bizarro demon and the swirling demon beast. According to legends, the first ancestors of these monstrous beasts did not have a physical body, but could transform into any beast or even human form. Moreover, they would possess the strength of the creature they transformed into. They might be even stronger, but those had always been mere legends. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Meanwhile, for fiend celestial beasts, their existence had been confirmed. For example, Yi Qingtang's little white tiger and Ling Yan's little azure dragon. What kind of existence is that black shadow? It can even seal a heaven-devouring beast in its eye, Lan Shan asked. Not to mention that black shadow. Even this holy lord and that high monk have far exceeded our comprehension. Yi Qingtang said softly. In this world, the body of an immortal emperor was supreme. However, even the strongest immortal emperor was not comparable to these people. No one could determine the level of the black shadow. It was an existence that could seal a heaven-devouring beast with a single eye. This trip was really not wasted. Even if we didn't get anything, at least our worldview has been expanded, Wan Rong said. At that moment, the crowd realized what it meant by there will always be someone better than you out there. Before Lan Shan could say anything, the heaven-devouring beast suddenly let out a deafening roar. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., Please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2704, Destruction 3. With the roar of the heaven-devouring beast, a gap seemed to open in the void, forming a black hole. Immediately after, a violent wind blew and cries of alarm rang out throughout the entire area. Yi Qingtang and the others saw the majestic buildings in the capital being uprooted. They were sucked into the huge mouth of the heaven-devouring beast, as if they were paper in a violent wind. There's actually such a thing. The scene stunned all the disciples of the great immortal temple. The heaven-devouring beast could actually produce such divine might just by breathing. Before long, screams rang out incessantly in the capital. Yi Qingtang saw that the humans in the capital were sucked into the void like ants by the heaven-devouring beast. At that moment, the number of humans in the sky was indescribable. There were hundreds of thousands of them, and they had become food for the heaven-devouring beast. Many humans who had been sucked into the void were powerful practitioners. Even so, they were unable to withstand the might of the heaven-devouring beast. Regardless of how high one's level was, he would be as weak as an infant before a heaven-devouring beast. No one was able to fight back at all. Too terrifying. Heaven-devouring beasts are indeed as recorded. They can devour everything in the world with a snap of their fingers. Cold sweat trickled down one of the disciples' forehead as he stared at the heaven-devouring beast in the sky. There was a legend that in ancient times there were many tribes. An ordinary tribe would have a population of hundreds of thousands, but a large tribe would have a population of millions. Even so, the heaven-devouring beasts managed to swallow countless tribes, causing utter misery and suffering, Zhang Qi said. Most of the disciples had also heard of such legends, but they had only treated it as fairy tales. A beast that could easily devour millions of people? How was that possible? It was simply unimaginable. However, what they saw today completely subverted everyone's understanding. With one bite, the number of people in the capital decreased by half. With another bite, the capital would turn into a completely dead city. Apart from the High Monk and the Silver Star Holy Lord, no one else had survived. Before long, the imperial palace of the capital was completely disintegrated by the violent wind. A middle-aged man swirling in midair appeared furious. However, no matter how powerful he was, he could not escape from the heaven-devouring beast. Apart from the capital's royal family, there were many other supreme experts who were all swallowed by the heaven-devouring beast. They were unable to resist. Yi Qingtang stared at the heaven-devouring beast in the sky with shock. Even if a fiend celestial beast like the little white tiger stretched to its limit, it might not even last one round with this heaven-devouring beast. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. It was then that Yi Qingtang also thought of the big yellow dog when she looked at this heaven-devouring beast. She did not know if the big yellow dog could fight with this heaven-devouring beast. This is too cruel. Even though they were disciples of the great immortal temple and none of them were kind-hearted people, they were still upset by this hellish scene. This was a direct hit on the entire human race. No matter how evil one was, it was impossible not to react at the sight of this heaven-devouring beast killing hundreds of thousands of people. However, faced with such a huge monster, they were as weak as ants. There were countless supreme martial arts practitioners among the humans who had been swallowed by the heaven-devouring beast. Even those elite existences had been reduced to mere fodder. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2705, Destruction 4. Actually, we should be glad that this place is just a memory. If it is real, we would be the first batch to die. Zhang Qi chuckled as he surveyed the shocked group. Lan Shang glanced at Zhang Qi, junior brother Zhang Qi. Are you still human? How can you still smile now? Zhang Qi shook his head and said, what we saw was something that happened in the past. No matter what, it cannot be reversed. Moreover, we are one step closer to the truth of the fourth domain's destruction. Why shouldn't I smile? Before Lan Shan could say anything, a cold glint appeared in the eyes of the high monk. He looked at the black shadow in the sky. You released a heaven-devouring beast without even uttering a single word and swallowed hundreds of thousands of lives. Your sins are grave. Please stop. The high monk's voice was cold. The black shadow that had been silent the entire time suddenly let out a bone-chilling smile. His gaze swept across everyone present like an eternal beam before a chuckle came out of his lips. The fourth domain has the power of absolute dominance, and the power of the heavenly Tao is rich here. Can you lend it to me? Heavenly Tao? As the black shadow's ethereal voice faded, the expressions of the monks and Taoists all changed in unison. The fourth domain contained the terrifying power of the heavenly Tao. But they never expected that the black shadow's goal was actually the power of the heavenly Tao. You want to borrow the power of the heavenly Tao? Have you asked Tian? The Silver Star Holy Lord asked the black shadow. Tian. The black shadow's smile grew wider. Do I need to ask Tian if I want the power of the heavenly Tao? The black shadow smiled. You have violated the rules. Please stop now, do not fall into the abyss, the high monk said softly. However, the black shadow did not continue speaking. One of its eyes turned into a black crescent moon that absorbed the power of the heavenly Tao contained in the fourth domain. Stubborn fool. The high monk snorted coldly as a golden glint surfaced in his eyes. Heavenly Tao reincarnation. The high monk shouted angrily. The world seemed to change in an instant. All the luster disappeared as if they had entered eternal darkness without a single trace of light. At that moment, even Yi Qingtang and the rest could not see any light. It was as if everything was still and time could not continue to flow. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. An unknown period of time passed. It felt like a blink of an eye, but also as if several reincarnation cycles had happened. When the world started revolving again, and finally regained some light, Yi Qingtang was slightly surprised. The capital, which had been completely destroyed by the heaven-devouring beast just now, had actually returned to its original state. The hundreds of thousands of lives devoured by the heaven-devouring beast had been resurrected. It was as if time had reversed and everything had returned to normal. Reincarnation divine art. The black shadow could sense that the large amount of heavenly energy he had absorbed earlier had disappeared from his body again. Everything had been absorbed by the cycle of reincarnation. You came alone to challenge my fourth domain. Are you too arrogant or did you underestimate the fourth domain? The high monk said coldly. You are indeed merciful. You're willing to spend so much effort just to save those people who deserve to die. Once again, the black shadow's laughter rang out. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2706. Battle for the Heavenly Tao. 1. Yi Qingtang stared at the black shadow in the sky. As she did, a strange feeling surged in her heart. How strange, Yi Qingtang pondered. Every time she tried to size up the black shadow, she would feel somewhat dazed. It was clearly just a memory. Why would she have such a strange feeling? Let's stop this pointless conversation. The black shadow chuckled. As the black shadow spoke, he waved his right hand and endless black flames engulfed the entire capital. What terrifying flames! Lan Shan and the others were shocked and filled with disbelief. The divine might of these flames could probably turn top-notch immortal emperors into ash. Even their divine souls would not be able to escape. In the blink of an eye, the entire capital turned to dust in the flames. The flames were burning too quickly for anyone to react. Furthermore, the heaven-devouring beast spewed a violent wind from its mouth, accelerating the spread of the flames. This time, the people in the capital did not even have the chance to cry out before they were reduced to dust. The Silver Star Holy Lord transformed into a white holy light and charged into the sky. Clang! The sound of a sword being unsheathed rang out. Everyone saw the Silver Star flickering between the Silver Star Holy Lord's brows. Swoosh! As the sword slashed down, the heaven-devouring beast's body turned into countless fragments in front of everyone's eyes. Blood rained down like a storm. The Silver Star Holy Lord sheathed his sword and returned. This scene stunned the great immortal temple disciples. How powerful and terrifying this Silver Star Holy Lord was. Yi Qingtang finally tore her gaze from the black shadow. The longer she stared at the black shadow, the more dazed Yi Qingtang became. Junior sister Yiyu, what's wrong with you? Lan Shan asked Yi Qingtang in surprise. Yi Qingtang shook her head and replied, "Nothing. I was just feeling a little uncomfortable." The disciples looked at Yi Qingtang's glabella. "Junior sister Yiyu, your glabella is glowing," Wan Rong said. Yi Qingtang was taken aback. "Senior sister, yes, glabella is glowing red." "Wait, this is the mark of heaven's will." Zhang Qi stared at Yi Qingtang's glabella in surprise. "Heaven's will." Lan Shan looked at Zhang Qi in confusion. "Correct. The records of the Supreme Heavenly Kingdom stated that a symbol appearing between the brows that is shaped like the heavens and glowing red. It is the mark of heaven's will. This is the symbol of having been chosen by the heavens." Zhang Qi nodded. "Chosen by the heavens for what?" "I don't know. It has never appeared before, nor have I ever heard of it actually happening. There is very little information about it in the records. No one knows if it is true or false." Zhang Qi shook his head. Yi Qingtang was shocked not because of what Zhang Qi said but because of what Ling Yan said in the past. The son of destiny would be born, bringing death to all. Yi Qingtang touched her glabella in disbelief. She had never expected that she would be the son of destiny. But why was this happening? When Yi Qingtang stared at the black shadow just now, she had felt a vague discomfort between her brows but did not pay attention to it at first. Chapter 2707. Battle for the Heavenly Tao 2. However, Yi Qingtang could not figure out how the red symbol between her brows was related to that black shadow. Everything here was just a memory. Before Yi Qingtang could think further, angry roars erupted in the air. When she looked up, she was shocked. At that moment, an azure dragon with a body big enough to blot out the sun was hovering in the sky. Meanwhile, the Silver Star Holy Lord was standing on the back of that dragon. A huge white tiger was also standing in midair beside the azure dragon. The high monk stood on the back of the white tiger. Fiend celestial beasts. The black shadow smiled coldly. Fiend celestial beasts of this level have not appeared in many eras. What level has the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk reached? One can control an azure dragon while the other can control a white tiger. Zhang Qi was shocked. Yi Qingtang looked at the white tiger, and her heart skipped a beat. The aura of the white tiger was overwhelming, but still very similar to the aura of her little white tiger. If not for the fact that the white tiger's body was too huge and its appearance too ferocious and terrifying, Yi Qingtang might have mistaken it for the little white tiger. Could this be the little white tiger's father? Yi Qingtang muttered. The little white tiger seldom talked about its father, and only mentioned it a few times. Therefore, Yi Qingtang was not very clear about the White Tiger clan. She only knew that the current White Tiger clan was in dire straits. The sky darkened during this battle. Mountains and rivers shattered as heaven and earth reversed. The only sounds that could be heard were the intense clash of divine power, and the roars of the White Tiger and Azure Dragon. The entire space was shattered. All that could be seen was endless darkness without any light. As for the other powerful beings led by the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, they had already fallen right at the very beginning of the battle. The current battle had already exceeded the limits of human comprehension. In the blink of an eye, heaven and earth shattered and everything was incinerated. Boom! A loud bang exploded in the air. Yi Qingtang saw that the High Monk was exhausted from the battle. He clasped his hands together, and a huge lotus flower pattern appeared around him. Silver Star Holy Lord, please ensure that your soul remains intact. Wait for your reincarnation. The white tiger was covered in injuries. It let out a painful wail. Go on. The High Monk raised his right arm and sent the white tiger away. Unfortunately, the heaven-devouring beast clan will never let this matter rest. This battle has implicated the white tiger and azure dragon. We have sinned. The High Monk let out a sigh. His body gradually shattered, leaving behind a snow-white lotus seed that disappeared into the void. The fall of the High Monk. The Silver Star Holy Lord was also severely injured. However, he did not show any signs of retreating. Looking at the black shadow again, it seemed that it had not used its full strength at all. Against the great Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, it executed every move with ease. It even forced the High Monk to preserve his soul and reincarnate before his body dissipated. Too powerful. They're not on the same level at all. It's impossible to win. Just what kind of existence is that black shadow? It's so terrifying. Lan Shan gasped. All of this had surpassed Lan Shan's understanding of the world. Even a god could not have reached such a level. Chapter 2708. There is actually such a terrifying existence in this world. But why have we never heard of such a person? With such strength, he can completely rule this world. Could it be that he died of old age? Impossible. With this cultivation level, he would have already attained immortality. How could he possibly die of old age? At that moment, Yi Qingtang was not at all interested in the group's discussion. Instead, her gaze landed on the Silver Star Holy Lord. The Silver Star Holy Lord stood in the air, his profound gaze fixed on the black shadow. The sword in his hand hummed, "Azure Dragon, leave." The Silver Star Holy Lord looked at the dragon below him. Why? The Azure Dragon roared. You cannot die here. You must protect the Azure Dragon clan, while I will make a comeback. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone saw his body transform into a divine sword several tens of thousands of meters long. Swoosh. A piercing sound rang out as the long sword slashed towards the black shadow. However, the black figure did not dodge at all. With just a single finger, it blocked the divine sword. The divine sword shattered. The Azure Dragon made a hole in the fabric of space and entered it, disappearing without a trace. They're all dead, Zhang Qi said softly. What an eye-opener. Zhou Yin nodded. It was not an exaggeration to call this an epic battle. Unfortunately, that black shadow's strength was too terrifying. Even the Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk, who were already invincible beings, were forced to their deaths. Swoosh. Another black shadow darted out. At this moment, two black figures were conversing in the sky. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk are dead. I've also killed the Heaven Ascension Sect Master, and the Dark North Divine Buddha. I have destroyed their souls. There's enough heavenly Tao power in the fourth domain. We'll each take half according to our earlier agreement. Let's see who can gain the acknowledgement of the heavenly Tao and take the position of Tian. It will be me, because you will die. As the other black shadow spoke, his right palm rested gently on the black shadow that had killed Silver Star Holy Lord and High Monk. Heavenly Demon devouring you. Haha, your heavenly Tao power is also mine. In this way, no one will be able to compete with me for the position of Tian. From now on, I will rule over all generations. Under Yi Qingtang's disbelieving gaze, one of the black shadows completely wiped out the other shadow with the heavenly demon devouring power. The latter turned into a streak of red light and disappeared. But its voice echoed from all directions. I already knew that you would do this. Do you really think your heavenly demon devouring power can do anything to me if I didn't allow it? The shadow asked coldly. What do you mean? It's a pity that my heart still has a flaw. But I do have to thank you for helping to kill me. Otherwise, with my strength, I wouldn't be able to die even if I wanted to. After I fix my heart, I'll come and find you once more. By the time you fix your heart, I'll have become Tian. The black shadow laughed loudly. However, as soon as he finished speaking, the temperature between the heavens and the earth suddenly reached an extreme. A mighty figure slowly descended from the sky. The newcomer had long hair that reached his waist. His movements were extraordinary, as if he had walked out of a painting. He slowly walked over with a world-shaking aura. Chapter 2709. Tian? The black shadow was surprised to see the man. You want to be my successor? The man called Tian said. Tian, your time is up. I will be your successor. How about that? The black shadow smiled. Tian looked at the black shadow. The 3 domains of the lower realm are cages. No living being is allowed to step into the upper realm no matter what their cultivation level is. I created the 4th domain as the divine domain of the lower realm. When warriors from the other 3 domains manage to reach divinity, they are still unable to ascend to the upper realm, but they can still enter the 4th domain. You destroyed my 4th domain. In the future, when warriors from the lower 3 domains reach divinity, where can they go? Haha, I told you that there is no mercy in this world. There is only order in our hearts. I came to the lower realm not because the 4th domain was destroyed, but because I am angry. In the future when I become the new Tian, I will create another domain, said the black shadow. As the shadow spoke, a red light shot out at an extreme speed and pierced through the center of the shadow's eyebrows. The black shadow looked surprised. A large amount of heavenly Tao quickly dissipated from between his brows. So you want to become the next Tian? There's no rush, wait for me to return. During this period of time, you can enjoy struggling at death's door. A cold laugh rang out in the air again. No one expected the black shadow, who had been killed just now, to be so terrifying with just the power of his spirit. To become the next Tian, one must surpass all things. With your current situation, I'm afraid that won't do. Coincidentally, my lifespan is coming to an end, so we'll go to the cursed hell to wait for you both. Let's see which of you is more suitable for the position of Tian. Seeing that the black shadow was heavily injured, Tian stated in a cold voice before vanishing. The heart of the heavenly Tao in my body. Yi Qingtang frowned deeply and looked at the red light that returned. Could it be that the black shadow who had killed the Silver Star Holy Lord and the High Monk was the true owner of this heart of the heavenly Tao? All along, Yi Qingtang had wanted to know who the owner of this heart was. The truth seemed to be right in front of her now. That black shadow whose face was a blur might be the owner of this heart, while she was just its vessel. What Yi Qingtang could not imagine was that the owner of the heart was already so powerful that he was a candidate to become the next Tian. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. However, this candidate was too vicious. If such a person became the next Tian, after a while, Yi Qingtang touched her glabella. No wonder she would become the son of destiny. That black shadow was equivalent to half a heavenly Tao. His heart was being nurtured in her body. If she became the son of destiny, she would succeed in everything she did. It would also be very beneficial to the nurturing of that heart. Before Yi Qingtang could ponder any further, everything turned to dust. When Yi Qingtang opened her eyes again, they had already returned to the ancient city. Cultivators, welcome back. The shopkeeper looked at Yi Qingtang and the others. The number of curse points gained by each individual will be different according to their performance. Please take a look at it yourselves. The method to check the curse points is very simple. You just need to focus inward. With that, Yi Qingtang and the others checked according to the shopkeeper's instructions. Not bad, 80 curse points. Lan Shan heaved a sigh of relief. Earlier on, Lan Shan had lost 50 curse points from killing the shopkeeper. Now he had 30. Yi Qingtang held her breath and focused. Her points. This, Yi Qingtang was surprised. 300,000. Chapter 2710, 300,000 curse points. To say that Yi Qingtang was surprised was an understatement. She had not done anything different from Lan Shan, and the rest while they were in that memory. Why was there such a huge difference in curse points? Son of Destiny? Yi Qingtang frowned and thought to herself. Could it be that her cursed points were different from the others, because she had become the Son of Destiny? Junior sister Yi Yu, how many curse points do you have? Zhou Yin asked Yi Qingtang. 3. 3? Why so little? The rest of us got at least 60. Lan Shan interrupted before Yi Qingtang could finish speaking. Yi Qingtang. 300,000, Yi Qingtang finished. The whole group instantly fell silent, and stared at Yi Qingtang in disbelief. How many curse points did she say she had? 300,000. Junior sister Yi Yu, are you kidding? 300,000? One of the disciples stared at Yi Qingtang in disbelief. Yes, 300,000. Yi Qingtang nodded. Shopkeeper, is there a mistake? Why did the rest of us get so little? My junior sister said she got 300,000. One of them looked at the shopkeeper. Dear cultivators, anyone who manages to infer the truth from the memory will see a substantial increase in their cursed points. If she got 300,000 curse points, perhaps she managed to infer enough information. The shopkeeper explained. Inferred enough information? Wasn't it just an earth-shattering war that led to the destruction of the fourth domain? What other information can there be? Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered. So that was the case. After entering the memory, she indeed deduced some information. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. The first point was about the Silver Star Holy Lord. Yi Qingtang speculated that Ling Yan should be the reincarnation of the Silver Star Holy Lord. The second point was about the White Tiger. Yi Qingtang speculated that it should be the little white tiger's father. The third point was regarding Tian. Yi Qingtang was certain that the existence known as Tian was the man who sent her away from the cursed hell. Actually, there were still a few points that Yi Qingtang still did not understand. After the high monk died, he turned into a lotus seed and wanted to reincarnate. As for who the high monk's reincarnation was, Yi Qingtang did not know and did not have any clues. Also, who was the black shadow who killed the Silver Star Holy Lord and high monk? And who was the other black shadow? Yi Qingtang could not figure out these points no matter how hard she racked her brain. If she managed to figure out all that, her cursed points would be even more than 300,000. Are you stupid? Shut up. Lan Shan frowned at the disciple who had complained to the shopkeeper. What if it was a malfunction that caused junior sister Yi Yu's curse points to skyrocket? Wouldn't they take it all back if you ask? The disciple who had just spoken went pale. Yes. Senior brother Lan Shan is right. I have no complaints. Shopkeeper, wrap up all the heaven-level divine weapons in your shop. I want all of them, Yi Qingtang said to the shopkeeper. Everyone looked at Yi Qingtang and gave her a thumbs up. They now knew what it meant to be wealthy. Chapter 27:11. After deducting the corresponding curse points, all the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop now belonged to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang immediately went forward and chose a black fire blade. You guys can split the rest. Yi Qingtang looked at the great immortal temple disciples. The heaven-level divine weapons here were really cheap. Yi Qingtang had 300,000 curse points and not much was deducted even after buying everything. Junior sister Yi Yu, you're too generous. How can we accept this? I have 300,000 curse points, Yi Qingtang said expressionlessly. Everyone. In the end, these things were nothing to Yi Qingtang. Furthermore, their goal in entering this place was to obtain the Paragon Relic. It was very likely that they would encounter disciples from other supreme factions. But if they had divine weapons, what was there to fear? The group shot Yi Qingtang a look before rushing towards the heaven-level divine weapons in the shop. I wield double knives. I want 2. I can conjure up 4 arms. I want 6. Don't move. My biggest wish is to open a weapons shop. Yi Qingtang. After a while, everyone received their share of the heaven-level divine weapons until they were satisfied. In the ancient city, apart from weapons, there are also divine armors, dharma treasures, secret tools, array formations, and so on. If you have enough curse points, don't miss this good opportunity to purchase them, the shopkeeper advised. Hearing that, Lan Shan's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang and he smiled. Forget it. Junior sister, you didn't come by your curse points easily. We're already satisfied. Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. Her 300,000 curse points were really no different from the wind around her. Let's go. I'll buy them all, Yi Qingtang said. Really? Zhou Yin asked in surprise. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Since we entered this place to fight for the Paragon Relic, we will inevitably encounter disciples from other supreme factions. The more Dharma treasures we have, the more helpless they will be against us. Otherwise, if others obtain enough curse points and kill us instead, it will be a tremendous regret for us, Yi Qingtang explained. Realization dawned upon everyone. Yes. Junior sister Yi Yu is indeed the wisest and has thought of everything. If not, When the time comes, all of us will be wiped out because of the fight for the Paragon Relic. That would be such a waste. Lan Shan said. Soon Yi Qingtang brought everyone around the ancient city and bought all the treasures that they could. Yi Qingtang then looked at her cursed points. 290,000 left. It was not just that the items were cheap, but according to the skeleton shopkeeper, this was a low-tier ancient city. Moreover, a heaven-level divine weapon was considered very ordinary in the fourth domain, so the price was low. If they went to a top-tier ancient city, the items sold would probably all be considered supreme divine items. The prices would definitely not be low then. Currently, every single person from the Great Immortal Temple was wearing divine armor with astonishing defense. They were able to withstand at least one attack from an immortal emperor. Apart from that, each of them had at least one heaven-level divine weapon and an extremely powerful Dharma treasure. For example, Lan Shan had bought a 7-story soul-destroying pagoda that could imprison an ultimate expert and refine it into spiritual energy. Meanwhile, Yi Qingtang had chosen a soul-bewitching bow. When struck, its power was astonishing. Just as everyone was feeling very satisfied, Xiejun returned. Xiejun, how is it? Lan Shan asked when he saw Xiejun. Chapter 27:12. Xiejun was holding a heaven-level divine weapon and also wearing divine armor. However, there were scuff marks on it. Thankfully, I obtained these treasures. Otherwise, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to return, said Xiejun with a smile. However, Xiejun's expression changed when saw that Lan Shan and the other disciples were all wearing divine armors. Furthermore, all of them had heaven-defying Dharma treasures and heaven-level divine weapons. You all? Xiejun looked surprised. Let's not talk about us for now. What happened to you? Lan Shan was puzzled. I went to investigate and followed a disciple of the Dragon Emperor clan into an ancient city. In that ancient city, there were actually people selling divine weapons. There were also all kinds of unbelievable spirit pets. In fact, if a pet died, one could use curse points to revive them in the shop. I saw a disciple of the Dragon Emperor clan buy a heaven-level divine weapon and divine armor. He was on his own, so I ambushed him and snatched his treasures. In the end, I was nearly pursued by the other Dragon Emperor clan disciples and nearly couldn't return. Fortunately, this divine armor's defense is astonishing, so they were helpless, said Xiejun. Everyone smiled. Why take such a huge risk to snatch something from others? They had everything and could take anything. By the way, there's a ranking list for curse points in the ancient city. Before I left, I saw that junior sister Yi was ranked first. Many disciples from the Supreme Faction seem to have designs on junior sister Yi. The rules are like this. You can snatch curse points from another cultivator, but only if he or she is from another faction. For example, as long as junior sister Yi is killed by a cultivator from another faction, her cursed points will be transferred to the person who killed her, said Xiejun. Did they reveal exactly how many curse points I have? Yi Qingtang asked with a frown. Xiejun shook his head. No. Yi Qingtang heaved a sigh of relief. If the other factions knew exactly how many curse points she had, she would probably be hunted down with no mercy. Even though she had already spent 10,000, she still had 290,000 left. That was enough to drive anyone crazy. By the way, there's another especially important piece of news. Xiejun continued. There's a palace in that high-tier ancient city. I sneaked in and saw that it was selling a Paragon relic. Furthermore, there is only one. The Paragon relic is for sale? Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Everyone was astonished. It looks like everything here needs to be bought with curse points, including the Paragon relic. Wenrong looked thoughtful. Senior brother Xiejun, how many curse points does the Paragon relic cost? Yi Qingtang wondered if her remaining 290,000 was enough. 100,000 curse points. Xiejun said. It's too expensive. It's probably very difficult to gather so many points. Therefore, no one was interested in that palace as no one managed to accumulate 100,000 curse points. Everyone turned to look at Yi Qingtang. We can buy 3 Paragon relics, but there is only one for sale. Don't you think it's infuriating? Lan Shan commented. 3. Xiejun looked shocked. The price of a Paragon relic was 100,000 curse points. Did they know what 100,000 curse points meant? There were many extremely powerful demons in this realm. He had risked his life to kill one, and only got 40 curse points for it. Not only that, he sustained heavy injuries from the ideal. Chapter 27:13. Furthermore, most of those demons moved in groups. Very few were alone. If they were to challenge a group of demons, there would only be one outcome: complete annihilation. There were too many of them. Senior brother Lan Shan, we can't buy 3 supreme relics. Yi Qingtang shook her head. That's right. The price of a Paragon relic is 100,000 cursed points. Didn't I make myself clear just now? Xiejun nodded. We can only buy 2 now, Yi Qingtang continued. Xiejun, junior sister Yiyu, how many curse points do you have? Xiejun looked at Yi Qingtang in surprise. Although Yi Qingtang was currently at the top of the ranking list for curse points, the ranking did not show the exact number of curse points she had. I originally had 300,000, but now I have only 290,000 left, Yi Qingtang replied honestly. 290,000? Xiejun was shocked. Junior sister Yiyu, where did you get so many cursed points? It was blown in by the wind. Yi Qingtang answered after some thought. Everyone. Yi Qingtang was not afraid of the great immortal temple disciples knowing how many curse points she had. Firstly, Yi Qingtang trusted them. Secondly, they belonged to the same faction. To snatch curse points, one had to belong to different factions. Therefore, there was no need for Yi Qingtang to hide anything from them. 290,000. We will have to spend 100,000 to purchase the Paragon relic, leaving us with 190,000. With 190,000, we can purchase a destruction-level divine weapon from a high-tier ancient city. It won't matter even if we die, we can use curse points to revive ourselves too. One life only costs 1,000 curse points, said Xiejun. It means that as long as junior sister Yiyu doesn't die, we can revive indefinitely. Zhangqi appeared to be in deep thought. Everyone, you are overthinking things. Another disciple sneered as he gently wiped his 6 heaven-level divine weapons. Even if I want to die, these 6 heaven-level divine weapons of mine, they won't allow it. The corners of Xiejun's lips twitched as he looked at this person's 6 heaven-level divine weapons. It seemed that it was really not easy for them to die. It's here. I watched Xiejun from the great immortal temple enter this ancient city. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. A clear voice suddenly sounded. He, Yiyu from the great immortal temple is now ranked first in terms of curse points. Kill her and snatch her points. A light laugh rang out. Hearing the commotion, Lan Shan and the others rushed out of the shop. At this moment, more than 20 disciples from the other supreme factions descended from the sky. Heavenly Saint Cult? Lan Shan glanced at Xiejun. You brought back a tail? Xiejun shrugged. It was a mistake. I didn't notice. My bad. After a while, more than 20 people from the Heavenly Saint Cult were outside the shop now. Yi Qingtang stood in front and scanned the crowd coldly before she said calmly, May I know why you are looking for me? A Heavenly Saint Cult disciple shouted coldly, Yiyu, we are here to kill you and take away your curse points. Nonsense. The long-haired leader glared at the person who spoke. Ha! The person who spoke was stunned. Wasn't that so? What do you mean by stealing cursed points? It is clearly because you killed a disciple of our Heavenly Saint Cult after entering this realm. We're here to take revenge, the long-haired man claimed. Chapter 27:14. Yes, we're not here to snatch curse points. We're just here to take revenge. That's right. How could our Heavenly Saint Cult do such a shameless thing as stealing the curse points of others? The corners of Yi Qingtang's lips twitched as she looked at the people from the Heavenly Saint Cult. This Heavenly Saint Cult's ability to spout nonsense had been cultivated to perfection. It was truly impressive. This was the first time Yi Qingtang and the rest saw a Heavenly Saint cult disciple since they entered this realm. When did Yi Qingtang have the chance to kill one? To put it bluntly, the disciples of Heavenly Saint cult just wanted to find a reason. Otherwise, if word got out that they killed someone because they wanted to snatch the curse points, it would affect their reputation. So you are here to kill me today, Yi Qingtang said calmly. Of course. You killed a disciple of my Heavenly Saint cult. How can we spare your life? The long-haired leader sneered. With that, all the Heavenly Saint cult disciples stepped forward. The disciple with the 6 heaven-level divine weapons glared at the Heavenly Saint cult disciples and sneered. What high-sounding sentiments you have. You dare to kill people with your mere abilities? I think you're just here to die, right? The expressions of the Heavenly Saint cult disciples changed slightly. 6 heaven-level divine weapons, 2 sets of divine armor. Looking at the others, all the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple were wearing divine armors and holding heaven-level divine weapons and heaven-defying Dharma treasures. A quick glance revealed at least dozens of heaven-level divine weapons, hundreds of divine armors, and dozens of Dharma treasures. How many curse points did they spend to exchange for all these? Now that these Great Immortal Temple disciples wielded such divine weapons, who would dare to offend them? At that moment, the long-haired man's expression changed slightly and he suddenly said, Yes, I remember now. My Heavenly Saint cult disciple was not killed by Miss Yiyu. They were killed by a demon here. It was a misunderstanding. This is all just a misunderstanding. I've disturbed Miss Yiyu and I apologize. At that moment, no matter how slow they were, everyone from the Heavenly Saint cult understood the situation when they saw the items held by the Great Immortal Temple disciples. Miss Yiyu, we were careless and wronged you. Well, leave now. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Seeing that the people from the Heavenly Saint cult were about to flee, Yi Qingtang was not going to let them leave so easily. We were lucky to obtain 300,000 curse points today. But what would have happened if we didn't get those 300,000 curse points? A disciple of the Great Immortal Temple sneered. The Heavenly Saint cult wouldn't have come looking for us if we didn't have those 300,000 curse points, right? Lan Shan asked. That's not the point. If we didn't have these divine weapons, the consequences would be unimaginable. The Heavenly Saint cult had come prepared. They had killed many demons and monsters in exchange for 4 heaven-level divine weapons and many Dharma treasures. If Yi Qingtang had not armed the Great Immortal Temple disciples, they would really not be their match. What 300,000 curse points? The long-haired man from Heavenly Saint cult looked astonished. Since you already know, we have no choice. We don't want to know. You were the ones who insisted on saying it. But don't worry, we didn't hear anything. One of the Heavenly Saint cult disciples said hurriedly. Since you came all this way today, we will not hold back. It's impossible for you to leave. Wan Rong sneered. The disciples of Heavenly Saint cult came intending to kill and steal, so there would be no good ending for them. Chapter 27:15. Junior Sister Yiyu, you must not attack. You already have enough curse points. Leave them to us. They must have a lot of curse points on them too. We must not let them off. Now the Heavenly Saint cult had become akin to a fat, juicy lamb. This was completely unexpected. They were like helpless lambs wandering into the tiger's den. The Heavenly Saint cult was practically powerless against the Great Immortal Temple disciples. Within half an hour, the 20+ people from the Heavenly Saint cult were annihilated. My pagoda is really powerful, Lan Shan muttered as he looked at the soul-destroying pagoda in his hand. After the 20+ people from Heavenly Saint cult were wiped out, the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple gained nearly 20,000 curse points in total. After dealing with the Heavenly Saint cult, everyone got Xie Jun to lead the way towards the high-tier ancient city. After about half a day, the Great Immortal Temple disciples arrived outside the high-tier ancient city. However, the high-tier ancient city was already occupied by the disciples of various major factions. The Great Immortal Temple had the most cursed points, and if they entered now, they would attract too much unwanted attention. Therefore, Yi Qingtang suggested that they quietly observe the situation first. Over the next 3 days, multiple conflicts broke out between the major factions, who all flew out of the city to fight. Only then did Yi Qingtang and the rest quietly infiltrate the ancient city. Ignoring everything else, this high-tier ancient city was much bigger than the previous low-tier city. However, because this ancient city was too big, it was not easy to find a shop. Are we going to the palace to exchange for the Paragon relic first? One of the great immortal temple disciples asked. Zhang Qi shook his head. There's no rush to exchange for the Paragon relic. High-tier ancient cities have even better divine weapons. We should arm ourselves better before getting senior sister Yi Yu to exchange for the Paragon relic. This way, even if others discover us, we will have the ability to deal with them. Yi Qingtang agreed with Zhang Qi. No one could guarantee that the other supreme factions would not eventually gather sufficient curse points and exchange them for more divine weapons. Anyway, the Paragon relic only required 100,000 curse points, so she was in no hurry to exchange it. Let's take a look in the city, said Yi Qingtang. Everyone nodded. A moment later, Zhang Qi found a shop. However, there was nothing inside the shop. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Shopkeeper, is there a shopkeeper here? Lan Shan shouted as he slammed the table. A moment later, a skeleton in luxurious clothes walked out of the back. You're finally here. One of the disciples smiled. Dear cultivators, this is a high-tier ancient city. The quality and price of the items sold here are very high. The shopkeeper went straight to the point. Bring us to see the treasures first. Curse points are not an issue. Lan Shan said hurriedly. The shopkeeper replied. There are no treasures in this shop. There are only rare and precious spirit animals. Please follow me. The shopkeeper immediately turned and entered the back hall. Yi Qingtang and the rest followed him. Everyone was quite interested in the rare spirit animals that the shopkeeper was talking about. After passing through the back hall, everyone realized that there was another world there. There was an open gorge where numerous strange beasts were being reared. Heavenly Psycha. Zhang Kai's gaze landed on an inconspicuous cicada, and his expression changed slightly. Chapter 27:16. This type of spirit animal had long disappeared from the outside world. The records described it as rather small but extremely powerful. It could be used to curse your enemies and was extremely terrifying. And in this open canyon, apart from the heavenly cicada, many other spirit animals were not even in the records. Lan Shan stared at a mountain peak that towered into the clouds. His gaze was somewhat dazed. The mountain peak appeared through the clouds and seemed to move. A pair of stone eyes surveyed the crowd. There are spirit animals of this level here? Some disciples of the great immortal temple seemed to have realized that this place was extraordinary. They looked towards the mountain peak. The shopkeeper stepped forward and explained. Dear cultivators, this is a heavenly divine beast. Its body is invulnerable to swords and spears, water and fire. Its strength is comparable to that of a fiend celestial beast. However, this heavenly divine beast is still young, and can't be compared to real fiend celestial beasts. Young. Everyone looked at each other in dismay. This was considered a young heavenly divine beast? Wouldn't it tear a hole in the sky when it reached adulthood? However, on second thought, the heaven-devouring beast they saw in the memory was much bigger than this heavenly divine beast. What spirit animal is this? One of the great immortal temple disciples pointed at a warhorse formed from pitch-black flames. This warhorse also had a pair of black flaming heavenly wings. One could already feel its high heat just by standing near it. Purgatory Demon King. The skeletal shopkeeper explained. This spirit animal is called the Purgatory Demon King. The Heaven Ascension Sect Master, one of the fourth domain's mighty figures, entered the Purgatory world and killed the Purgatory Demon King. The soul of the Purgatory Demon King transformed into this creature, and its divine power is heaven-defying. Only after hearing what the shopkeeper said did Zhang Qi come to a sudden realization. No wonder such a monster was not even listed in the records. It was actually formed from the soul of a Purgatory Demon King. No wonder. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. This means that there is only one Purgatory Demon King in this world, said Xiejun. That's right. The skeletal shopkeeper confirmed. Heaven Ascension Sect Master. At that moment, Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. She had heard this name from the Black Shadow in the memory. The Black Shadow said that he had killed the Heaven Ascension Sect Master and the Dark North Divine Buddha. Currently, there were 4 known supreme beings: the Silver Star Holy Lord, the High Monk, the Heaven Ascension Sect Master, and the Dark North Divine Buddha. However, the souls of the Silver Star Holy Lord and the High Monk had escaped and could be reincarnated into humans. As for the Heaven Ascension Sect Master and the Dark North Divine Buddha, their souls had been destroyed by the Black Shadow. They had completely dissipated from this world. But no matter what, the Heaven Ascension Sect Master and the Dark North Divine Buddha were considered the peak forces of the 4th domain, on par with the Silver Star Holy Lord and the High Monk. Yi Qingtang guessed that if nothing went wrong, Ling Yan should be the reincarnation of the Silver Star Holy Lord. However, Yi Qingtang was curious about the High Monk's reincarnation. It was impossible for the reincarnation of such a peak existence to remain unknown. According to Heaven, the most powerful beings in the 4th domain could be considered perfected immortals. The only difference was that they remained in the lower realm. However, the 4th domain was created by Heaven, so it did not really belong to the lower realm. Chapter 27:17. In a sense, the 4th domain could be considered a mini upper realm. In ancient times, the peak experts of the lower realms would not trigger the heavenly tribulation when they cultivated to a certain level. Instead, they would qualify to ascend to the 4th domain. In other words, every living being in the 4th domain could be considered an immortal being. The Silver Star Holy Lord, High Monk, Heaven Ascension Sect Master, and Dark North Divine Buddha were the cream of the crop among them. They were the overlords of the 4th domain. Yi Qingtang did not believe in immortal Buddhas back then. But now that she witnessed so much, she had no choice but to believe it. In Yi Qingtang's era, immortal Buddhas were just myths and legends. The real existences were true gods and heavenly demons. True gods and heavenly demons were 2 completely different races. True gods created humans, while heavenly demons created demons. As for the so-called perfected immortals, they were people who ascended to become immortals and supreme beings after cultivating to a certain level. However, it was impossible to tell who was stronger, a true god or a perfected immortal. I wonder what the immortal Buddha bloodline in my body has to do with the 4th domain, Yi Qingtang pondered. The divine bloodline in Yi Qingtang's body must be somewhat related to the legends in this world. It was similar to when Yi Qingtang had broken through to the Yin-Yang perfected Lord 10th heaven level and sensed the true God bloodline. After that, she received the immortal Buddha bloodline, the divine phoenix bloodline, and the heavenly demon devouring bloodline. The true God bloodline was linked to the true God race, while the heavenly demon devouring bloodline was related to the heavenly demon race. So that meant the immortal Buddha bloodline should be linked to the 4th domain. Junior sister Yiyu. Just as Yi Qingtang was deep in thought, Xiejun called her name with a smile. Composing herself, Yi Qingtang looked at Xiejun. Senior brother Xiejun, what's the matter? Junior sister Yiyu, can you lend me some curse points? I have a special liking for that purgatory demon king. Xiejun asked with a smile. Yi Qingtang looked at the shopkeeper and asked, what's the price for the purgatory demon king? 5,000 curse points, the shopkeeper answered. All right. Yi Qingtang nodded. I'll buy it for him. Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. After deducting the corresponding points, the skeleton waved and the purgatory demon king in front of him turned into a black light and was sealed onto Xiejun's arm. No spirit pets purchased in the ancient city are allowed to be used here. After buying a spirit animal, you will enter an automatic contract which cannot be changed, the skeleton said. Lanshan hurriedly asked, why can't we use them? The spirit animals from high-tier ancient cities are too powerful. They cannot be used here, the skeleton explained. Apart from spirit animals, are there any other restrictions? For example, destruction-level divine weapons, Zhang Qi asked. Only spirit animals are restricted, the skeleton said. Then I'll save my cursed points for something else, Lan Shan said after some thought. Indeed. Although these spirit animals are good, they cannot be used here. So I don't think they are worth it. After leaving the spirit animal shop, Yi Qingtang and the rest headed to the weapons shop in this high-tier ancient city. The weapons shop in a high-tier ancient city sold only destruction-level divine weapons. Chapter 27:18. Becoming an Immortal Immediately 3. Actually, Yi Qingtang and the disciples of the Great Immortal Temple did not know much about destruction-level divine weapons. Even the experienced and knowledgeable Zhang Qi had never heard of destruction-level weapons. But if they were to consider things from the price point of view, destruction-level divine weapons sold in high-tier ancient cities should be much higher than heaven-level divine weapons. Yi Qingtang was very curious about the owner of these soul bones. The cultivation level of this owner was probably on par with that of mighty figures like the High Monk and Heaven Ascension Sect Master. After the death of the soul bone owner, his deity Ocean turned into this legacy. All the rare treasures sold in the ancient cities were probably his possessions. Earlier on, Yi Qingtang even saw a fiend celestial beast-level spirit animal in the shop. However, Yi Qingtang was not interested in spirit animals now, so she did not buy any. Shopkeeper, what's so special about destruction-level divine weapons? How do they compare to heaven-level divine weapons? One of the Great Immortal Temple disciples asked the skeleton shopkeeper. Destruction-grade divine weapons are not forged. They are divine items formed from the spirit energy of heaven and earth. Heaven-grade divine weapons are forged by humans and are not comparable at all, the shopkeeper explained. At that moment, Yi Qingtang's gaze landed on a crimson-black stone sword. This sword was the same size as a normal weapon. It did not look extraordinary, but it radiated with a faint but astonishing aura. How many cursed points is this? Lan Shan looked at one of the destruction-level divine weapons. 2,000. Can it be cheaper? We're your long-time customers. Look at all the heaven-level divine weapons and Dharma treasures we have already bought here. Are you sure you cannot lower the price? Lan Shan bargained with a smile. Everyone looked at Lan Shan with strange expressions. They could bargain here? 2,000, the skeletal shopkeeper repeated. There's no room for negotiation? Lan Shan looked a little reluctant. 2,000. I want it. In the end, Lan Shan sighed and used his curse points to purchase the destruction-level divine weapon. The price of each destruction-level divine weapon was different. However, they were all about 2,000 curse points. Shopkeeper, what is the name of this sword? Yi Qingtang pointed at the red-black divine weapon. I don't know, it doesn't have a name. This sword was obtained from a nameless place where the Heaven Ascension Sect Master once cultivated. It has no origin and no name. I want it. Yi Qingtang smiled. 100,000, the shopkeeper said. The smile on Yi Qingtang's face froze. Did she hear wrongly? How much? Yi Qingtang asked dubiously. 100,000 curse points, the shopkeeper said. The divine power of this weapon has already surpassed the limits of destruction-level divine weapons. All destruction-level divine weapons have an artifact spirit inside, but this weapon does not have any. Even so, its power is thousands of times that of any divine weapon. It is also this shop's ultimate treasure. The corners of Yi Qingtang's lips twitched. Was this skeleton serious? Was it trying to cheat her? It even claimed that it was the most valuable item in the entire store. How exaggerated. Cultivator, you have enough curse points so I can demonstrate its power for you. The skeleton looked at Yi Qingtang. Demonstrate then. If it's really as you say, I'll buy it. Yi Qingtang nodded. Chapter 27:19. Becoming an immortal immediately 4. The shopkeeper raised his arm. In the next second, Yi Qingtang and the shopkeeper arrived at an illusory realm. The two of them were high up and below them was a dynasty formed by the illusion. Cultivator, I will mimic the power of an ordinary immortal emperor, the shopkeeper said to Yi Qingtang with the black sword in hand. With that, the shopkeeper slashed the sword downwards. Silently, Without any earth-shattering booms, a black sword beam shot out like an arrow. Before long, the kingdom below completely turned into ruins under Yi Qingtang's disbelieving gaze. Yi Qingtang was shocked by the sight. The dynasty was at least half the size of the blue sky domain. With just a casual wave of the sword, the dynasty was reduced to nothing and all living beings were exterminated. Cultivator, although this is just an illusion, it is similar to the real world. In fact, the power of this divine weapon is even more terrifying in the real world. Therefore, 100,000 curse points is not considered expensive for such a weapon, said the skeleton to Yi Qingtang. All right. Yi Qingtang nodded after a pause. This divine sword had shocked Yi Qingtang greatly. With that, the illusion disappeared and they reappeared in the shop. I want it, Yi Qingtang said to the shopkeeper. After deducting the corresponding curse points, the shopkeeper handed the red-black sword to Yi Qingtang. Due to restrictions, you can only increase the power of this divine weapon to a fixed level, which is still several times that of a destruction-level divine weapon. Most of its power will be sealed. After the cultivator leaves this realm, the seal on the divine weapon will automatically be released, the shopkeeper said. Understood. Yi Qingtang sized up the cold red-black divine weapon in her hand and nodded. Junior sister Yi Yu, you really bought it. You were really fooled by that shopkeeper. It must have cheated you because you have so many points. Lan Shan said to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang just smiled nonchalantly. For some reason, she felt an affinity with this red-black sword. Even if she had been fooled, it was not important. Furthermore, the shopkeeper in the ancient city was formed from the consciousnesses of billions of soul bones. There was no need to deceive a cultivator. If that was the case, they could have just refused to give her the 300,000 curse points. There was no need to do this. Don't worry, junior sister Yi Yu is no fool. The shopkeeper already demonstrated its power for her just now. Since junior sister Yi Yu is willing to buy it, it must be because she's satisfied, Wan Rong said to Lan Shan. That's true. Junior sister Yi, how powerful is this divine weapon? Lan Shan asked curiously. Very powerful, Yi Qingtang replied. Lan Shan rolled his eyes at Yi Qingtang. Who would not know that? Which idiot would spend 100,000 points on a weapon which was not powerful? It was a given that it was powerful, but the important thing was how powerful. Let's go and find the Paragon Relic, Yi Qingtang said after a while. The great immortal temple disciples had no lack of divine weapons and armor. Especially now that they had also bought some destruction-level divine weapons, it would not be a problem for them to protect the Paragon Relic. After a while, everyone arrived at the hall. In the main hall, a skeleton rubbed its hands as it walked over. Ah, so it's the top cultivator with the most cursed points. Welcome, welcome. The skeleton looked at Yi Qingtang. Everyone looked a little taken aback. This shopkeeper seemed to be different from the others. Chapter 2720. 5 Great Relics. 1. The previous shopkeepers all behaved like they had no autonomous thoughts. The skeleton in this hall appeared different. After rubbing its hands together, the skeleton walked to their side. Come, don't be shy. Take a look around. This shopkeeper seems to be different from the others. One of the great immortal temple disciples stared at the skeleton in surprise. The skeleton chuckled. Kid, you have good observation skills. We are completely different. How are you different? Lan Shan asked curiously. Haha, good question. I am the remnant soul of the fourth domain's perfected immortal, the Heaven Ascension Sect Master. The things outside are just transformations of divine powers. They're not worth mentioning, the skeleton explained. The remnant soul of the Heaven Ascension Sect Master? Everyone looked at each other in shock. Although they had not seen the Heaven Ascension Sect Master, they had heard about him in the memory. He was one of the top experts in the fourth domain. So this fourth domain legacy is the Heaven Ascension Sect Master's legacy? Yi Qingtang asked with a frown. The skeleton shook its head. Of course not. If you want to know the truth, you will need to give me curse points. You require curse points for that. Lan Shan was stunned. Of course. The skeleton nodded. You need to know the truth and I need curse points. There is no free lunch in this world. How much? Lan Shan asked. 5,000, the skeleton stated. 5,000. The great immortal temple disciples couldn't believe it. 5,000 was enough to exchange for 2 destruction-level divine weapons. Okay. However, Yi Qingtang agreed. After deducting 5,000 curse points from Yi Qingtang, the skeleton said, "This is the legacy of many powerful figures in the 4th domain. In this world, there are 8 high-tier ancient cities. Each high-tier ancient city contains the ultimate legacy of a powerful figure in the 4th domain. You are very lucky. This is the legacy of the Heaven Ascension Sect Master." I see. Everyone fell into deep thought after hearing the skeleton's words. Back then, when the 4th domain was destroyed, one of the powerful beings was severely injured, but he managed to flee the 4th domain and left with the legacies of several other powerful beings. Unfortunately, that powerful being died soon after due to his injuries. The skeleton shook its head. Yi Qingtang nodded slightly. This was in line with their previous conjecture. However, she did not expect that this legacy was the collective legacies of several powerful figures in the 4th domain. May I ask, what happened back then? Yi Qingtang asked the skeleton. The skeleton stared at Yi Qingtang, sizing her up with a meaningful look for a long time. In the end it said, "It's just fate. There's no need to say so much about it." Let's get to the main point. Do you want to use your curse points to exchange for treasures? The Paragon Relic, right? Yi Qingtang chuckled. Yes, you are right. But it's not just the Paragon Relics. There are a total of 5 great relics here, the skeleton said. 5 great relics. The first is the Paragon Relic. The skeleton gave a gentle wave, and a white crystal appeared in the hall. This is the Paragon Relic. It can suppress the power of all demons in the world. Everyone's eyes flashed when they saw the Paragon Relic appear in the air. Chapter 27-21. 5 Great Relics, 2. The main goal of these people was the Paragon Relic. As the group looked on, a golden relic appeared. This is the Yin-Yang Relic. The skeleton continued. The Yin-Yang Relic has the power of extreme Yin and Yang. If a warrior consumes it, he can control Yin and Yang and transform into a Yin-Yang divine body. Everyone was shocked. Lan Shan said in surprise, Yin-Yang divine body. So there really is such a thing. Seeing the confusion on the faces of the other disciples, Zhang Qi explained, the so-called Yin-Yang divine body can transform Yin into Yang. It is more or less a form of natural power. It is even more terrifying than the forbidden Yin-Yang bloodline. Kid, you are rather knowledgeable. The skeleton nodded. Immediately, a third black relic appeared in mid-air. This is the imperishable relic. The skeleton explained. Any living being who consumes this relic will become immortal, and not enter the cycle of reincarnation. They will live as long as heaven and earth, but they have to pay a certain price. They will never be able to sense the spiritual energy of heaven and earth again. In other words, if an immortal emperor consumes the imperishable relic, his cultivation will forever be at the immortal emperor level. Of course, the benefit is that he will be indestructible. No one will be able to kill a living being who consumed this relic. They can only seal it. Formidable. Lan Shan was in shock. There's actually such a divine item in this world. A fourth relic soon appeared. The skeleton continued its narration. Space-time relic. With this relic, you can pass through space-time barriers, return to the past and go to the future. However, you can only use it once, the skeleton said. Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered. Moving through the past and future. This was what she needed. Even if she could only use it once, with this relic, she could return to her era. The final relic. As the skeleton spoke, a fifth relic floated in the air. The perfected immortal relic. The skeleton stated. Any living being who consumes this relic will immediately become an immortal. Immediately become an immortal? All the disciples at present gasped. Was this for real? Could one really become an immortal after swallowing this? There's no need to doubt the authenticity of these relics. After all, there's no need for me to lie to you. These 5 relics are the ultimate legacies of the Heaven Ascension Sect Master. Of course, to obtain them you will need sufficient curse points. If you are good enough, you can buy them all, the skeleton said. Wait. Xiejun looked at the skeleton in confusion. Sir, you didn't tell me that there were other relics when I first came to this hall. The skeleton replied. That's because you hurried away before I even finished talking. Besides, can you afford them? Xiejun. He really couldn't afford them. What is the price of these 5 relics? Yi Qingtang turned away from the 5 relics and looked at the skeleton. The skeleton told her. Each of these 5 relics has its own price. The space-time relic costs 40,000 curse points. The Paragon relic and Yinyang relic each costs 100,000 points. The imperishable relic costs 150,000 cursed points, while the perfected immortal relic costs 200,000. Yi Qingtang. It was too expensive. Even though she wanted them all, each of these 5 relics was a rare treasure in this world. Especially the perfected immortal relic. It could allow a person to instantly become immortal. At that moment, Yi Qingtang suddenly recalled Tian, whom she had met in the cursed hell. Chapter 27-22. 5 Great Relics 3. Yi Qingtang still remembered that Tian promised to grant her a wish, including becoming a perfected immortal. However, Yi Qingtang did not take it seriously, and casually asked Tian to send her out of the cursed hell. Fortunately, Yi Qingtang didn't ask to become a perfected immortal. Even if she really became a perfected immortal then, she would still remain trapped in the cursed hell. In the end, she would have died in that land of despair. Back then she had foregone a chance to become an immortal, and now, another opportunity had come. At that moment, Yi Qingtang looked at the destruction-level divine weapon in her hand, which she bought with 100,000 points. She felt mixed emotions. She had really exceeded her own expectations. What do you think? Have you thought it through? If I were you, I would definitely choose the perfected immortal relic and the imperishable relic. I would first swallow the perfected immortal relic and become an immortal. After that, I would swallow the imperishable relic and become indestructible. The skeleton said. You make it sound so powerful. Why didn't the Heaven Ascension Sect Master use these relics back then? One of the disciples asked. The skeleton glanced at the disciple. If the Heaven Ascension Sect Master didn't die, do you think these 5 relics would come into existence? The Great Immortal Temple disciple. Actually, Yi Qingtang was very tempted by the skeleton's suggestion. However, no matter how tempted he was, she did not have enough curse points. Currently, Yi Qingtang only had enough curse points to buy the 2 cheapest relics. After careful consideration, Yi Qingtang decided to purchase the Paragon relic. Firstly, she was not too interested in the Yinyang relic, and secondly, the Great Immortal Temple treated her very well. Therefore, the Paragon relic would be a favor to the Great Immortal Temple. With her remaining curse points, she could use them to purchase the space-time relic. This way, she could return to her own era. The space-time relic and the Paragon relic, Yi Qingtang said after a long time. The disciples of the Great Immortal Temple all looked at Yi Qingtang. No one expected Yi Qingtang to really choose the Paragon relic. If it were them, they might not choose the Paragon relic under such enticement. Junior sister Yiyu. What do you want a space-time relic for? Lan Shan was somewhat curious. I have a use for it, Yi Qingtang said. Don't tell me you plan to use the space-time relic to go to the past or the future. That is too ridiculous. And you can only use it once. Junior sister Yiyu, don't be too impulsive. Yi Qingtang. Indeed, she wanted to use the space-time relic to return to her era. This era was not her rightful period. After deducting her curse points, the skeleton handed the Paragon relic and space-time relic to Yi Qingtang. The ultimate legacies of the Heaven Ascension Sect Master have been inherited, and I have achieved success. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. The skeleton sighed and dissipated. The skeleton wasn't the only one. The entire high-tier ancient city disappeared without a trace. At that moment, Yi Qingtang and the rest were standing in a valley where the high-tier ancient city used to be. However, the ancient city had disappeared. After the core legacies were bought, everything about the Heaven Ascension sect master disappeared. Lan Shan pondered. In that case, there are 7 other legacy places in this realm. I wonder who would be so lucky. The Heaven Ascension legacy has been inherited. The Silver Star legacy has been inherited. An ethereal voice suddenly echoed in the depths of everyone's minds. Let's go. Before Yi Qingtang could return to her senses, Ling Yan suddenly appeared from the void and grabbed her. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 27-23. Returning to her era. 1. Before Yi Qingtang could return to her senses, she was already dragged into the shattered void by Ling Yan. Bastard, where did this criminal come from? How dare you kidnap my junior sister Yi Yu? Don't you dare leave, you rogue. You have a death wish. Seeing Yi Qingtang being dragged into the void by a strange man, Lan Shan and the other great immortal temple disciples immediately drew their destruction-level divine weapons and approached Ling Yan. Seeing this, Ling Yan pointed his finger, and an invisible wave of air spread out, sending the disciples flying across the sky. In the next second, Ling Yan brought Yi Qingtang into the shattered void and disappeared. When Yi Qingtang returned to her senses, she had already left the 4th domain's legacy realm and returned to the outside world. Ling Yan, what's going on? Yi Qingtang was surprised. When did Ling Yan enter the 4th domain's legacy realm? Miss Yi, do you remember the Heaven Ascension Sect Master's core legacy hall? Ling Yan smiled at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang nodded. She had just left the legacy hall. How could she not remember? Whenever the 5 relics appear at the same time in that hall, there will be a spatial fluctuation. You guys probably felt as if it was only a few minutes, but in actual fact, several months have passed. Ling Yan explained to Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang was surprised. No wonder she felt that there were rare ripples in the air when the 5 relics appeared. During this period of time, the upper echelons of the various supreme factions have already entered the legacy realm. However, because the Heaven Ascension Sect Master's legacies were already activated, the high-tier ancient city you were in was sealed off. No one could enter before the legacy is inherited. Ling Yan chuckled at Yi Qingtang's puzzled expression. I see, Yi Qingtang nodded. Ling Yan, did something happen inside the legacy realm during this period? Yi Qingtang asked curiously. Nothing happened. But I did obtain the legacy of my previous self, as well as the High Monk's legacy, Ling Yan said. You already know? Yi Qingtang was surprised. Ling Yan's lips curled up slightly. I've been waiting for this day for many years. So everything was part of your plan, including the opening of the ancient god Karma Tunnel, and possessing Han Kangming's body. Yi Qingtang looked at Ling Yan thoughtfully. Miss Yi, there are no secrets between us. Ling Yan stared at Yi Qingtang. Actually, I'm Han Songming. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. You. Yi Qingtang looked at Ling Yan with an indescribable glint in her eyes. She instinctively took a few steps back. Miss Yi, don't panic. I am Han Songming, but I am also the Ling Yan whom you know, Ling Yan said with a smile. What do you mean? Yi Qingtang frowned deeply. Ling Yan was very frank and told Yi Qingtang the whole story. After a while, the surprise in Yi Qingtang's eyes intensified. So the Han Songming of her era was just a shell that Ling Yan abandoned. Furthermore, after returning to this era, Ling Yan personally possessed his former self. It's really unbelievable. Yi Qingtang muttered as she stared at Ling Yan. Just how shrewd was this man to be able to accomplish this much? Miss Yi, do you know how you reincarnated? Ling Yan suddenly changed the topic. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 27-24. Returning to her era, 2. Yi Qingtang was shocked. How did you know? She had never revealed her secret to anyone in her 2 lifetimes. No matter how smart Lingyan was, it was impossible for him to guess her secret. Of course I know. Lingyan chuckled. You reincarnated because of me. Because of you? Yi Qingtang's eyes flickered in confusion. That's right. Lingyan nodded and smiled. I use karma power to let you live again. In that life, I must have deduced something, which is why I didn't hesitate to use karma to let you live again. In this life, you are tainted with my karmic power. I just need to use the karmic natal chart to deduce everything. Wait, I'm a little confused. Yi Qingtang frowned deeply and looked at Lingyan. Do you mean that after I died in my previous lifetime, it was you who revived me and brought me to the past, to start all over again? In this lifetime, you managed to find me because of your karma power and the karmic natal chart. You are the one who saved me. Miss Yi is indeed intelligent. Lingyan chuckled. That's correct. Yi Qingtang did not doubt Lingyan's words. On the contrary, she truly believed him. But you didn't have much interaction with me in the previous lifetime. Why did you save me? Yi Qingtang looked at Lingyan in confusion. In her previous life, the 2 of them did not know each other. Why did Lingyan pay such a huge price to let her be reborn? Perhaps in my previous life, I also had feelings for Miss Yi. Lingyan replied with a smile. Yi Qingtang, I'm asking a serious question. Yi Qingtang frowned. I'm also answering very seriously. Lingyan smiled. Before Yi Qingtang could say anything, Lingyan smiled and said, Actually, my fate is linked to Miss Yes. It is my mission to make you my wife and protect you until you reach your peak, so that the true owner of the heart of the heavenly Tao can absorb you. But I abandoned my shell body and escaped the restraint of fate. However, I have to live under the shadow of fate. Only Miss Yi has the chance to break through this destined calamity, and also let me return to the peak and surpass it. This is probably why I was unwilling to let Miss Yi die in my previous life. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. So, everything you did for me was actually for yourself. Yi Qingtang stared at Lingyan beside her. For some reason, she felt an inexplicable sense of loss. However, Lingyan smiled. I might have been like that in my previous life, but in this life, the moment I saw Miss Yi, I wanted. Before Yi Qingtang could react, Lingyan pulled her into his arms. Looking into Lingyan's seductive eyes, Yi Qingtang was at a loss. She did not know what to do or say. Wanted? Wanted what? Yi Qingtang said softly. I wanted to protect you forever. Lingyan's lips curled up slightly. Under Yi Qingtang's surprised gaze, Lingyan kissed her lightly. At that moment, Yi Qingtang's face was flushed red and her body trembled violently. She instinctively wanted to escape, but was unable to break free from Lingyan's embrace. However, deep in the recesses of her mind, Yi Qingtang did not know if it was because she could not escape or if she did not want to. Chapter 27-25. Returning to her era 3. Yi Qingtang sized up Lingyan for a long time. Miss Yi, this is for you. Lingyan handed a scarlet crystal to Yi Qingtang. What is it? Yi Qingtang was a little puzzled as she stared at the crystal. However, she felt that this crystal contained an incomprehensible energy. Origin Stone, Lingyan explained. This Origin Stone can temporarily control all the power in your body. It can also control the power in your heart of the heavenly Tao in your body. Yi Qingtang was surprised. It could absorb the power of the heart of the heavenly Tao. But remember, you cannot use it in this era. You can only use it after returning to our own era, Lingyan said. Why? Yi Qingtang asked. Miss Yi, do you remember the 2 black shadows you saw? Lingyan asked. You even know about that. Lingyan chuckled. Miss Yi, you have my karma power in you. I will know everything you see. Yi Qingtang. Why did she feel like she was being peeped at? Miss Yi, do you have the Heaven Ascension Sect Master's relic with you? Lingyan asked. Yes. Yi Qingtang nodded. In that case, it's time for us to return, Lingyan said with a smile. But I have not brought the Paragon relic back to the Great Immortal Temple, Yi Qingtang said. In that case, Miss Yi can deliver the Paragon relic to the Great Immortal Temple first. That day, Yi Qingtang returned to the Great Immortal Temple and secretly placed the relic in her master, the Nine Heavens Saint's bedroom. Master, I am leaving. Standing in midair, Yi Qingtang stared at the Great Immortal Temple below, feeling rather reluctant to leave. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. In the end, she was only a passerby in this era. Now that she was leaving, she would be leaving without even a word of goodbye. They would probably never meet again. After meeting up with Ling Yan, Yi Qingtang took out the space-time relic and handed it to him. The space-time relic shone brightly, and Yi Qingtang's body became extremely light. Holy Lady, why are you back so soon? A familiar voice sounded. Yi Qingtang opened her eyes slowly and the Blood Moon Elder's face appeared in her eyes. Not far away, the big yellow dog was wagging its tail and staring at Yi Qingtang. She immediately sat up and looked at the Blood Moon Elder. So soon? Yi Qingtang was puzzled. Many years must have passed in that distant era. That's right, Holy Lady. Didn't you just enter? Why are you out so quickly? The Blood Moon Elder could not understand. Yi Qingtang could not help but lower her head in deep thought. Fortunately, the origin stone that Ling Yan had given her was still here. Otherwise, she might have really thought that it was just a dream. Many years had passed in that era, but in this era, it seemed that it had only been seconds. As for why, Yi Qingtang could not explain it, but it was not important. Little girl, you seem different. The big yellow dog scrutinized Yi Qingtang up and down. Before Yi Qingtang could speak, the big yellow dog looked startled. Little girl, have we met before? You look a little familiar to me now. The big yellow dog stared at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang's expression changed slightly as well. Chapter 27-26. Yi Qingtang's gaze landed on the big yellow dog, and she could not help frowning. The big yellow dog found her a little familiar? Could it be that in that distant era, history had changed because of her? Where have you seen me before? Yi Qingtang asked the big yellow dog. Where? The big yellow dog stared at Yi Qingtang and pondered for a moment before shaking its head. I forgot. Yi Qingtang. Rolling her eyes, she looked at the yellow dog and the Blood Moon Elder and chuckled. By the way, have you heard of Yi Yu? The yellow dog replied. I've never heard of her. Yi Yu. The Blood Moon Elder lowered his head and pondered for a long time with a puzzled expression. Holy Lady, this name. I seem to have heard it somewhere before. It sounds very familiar, but I can't seem to, the Blood Moon Elder muttered. It's all right. I was just asking casually. Yi Qingtang smiled. Please keep reading on MYB0XN0VL. C0M. After a short while, the Blood Moon Elder looked up in shock. He said hurriedly, Holy Lady, are you talking about Yi Yu? Saint Yi Yu? Yi Qingtang was stunned. In that distant era when she became a disciple of the Great Immortal Temple and the personal disciple of the Nine Heavens Saint, she had indeed been called Saint Yi Yu. Yes. Yi Qingtang nodded. Yes. Holy Lady, no way. Why would you suddenly ask about Saint Yi Yu? Holy Lady, do you know that this name is taboo in the Divine Venerate domain? The Blood Moon Elder said mysteriously. Visit Rietal. Me for extra chapters. Oh, tell me more. Yi Qingtang was filled with curiosity. Holy Lady, I'm not too sure either. I just heard rumors. However, if you are interested, I can tell you. The Blood Moon Elder stared at Yi Qingtang. Saint Yi Yu existed 10,000 years ago, and was one of the most legendary figures in the Divine Venerate domain. Legendary figure? Yi Qingtang was surprised. Legendary figure? How legendary? More legendary than me? The big yellow dog wagged its tail. Yi Qingtang glanced at the big yellow dog. She felt a strong urge to slap it. She still remembered that she was nearly killed by a fireball caused by the big yellow dog when she first met it in that distant era. Saint Yi Yu was the most beloved disciple of the Nine Heavens Saint of the Great Immortal Temple 10,000 years ago. It is said that Saint Yi Yu became an immortal emperor at a young age in that era, and was the junior with the strongest potential in the Great Immortal Temple. She was almost invincible among her peers. The Blood Moon Elder was full of admiration. Not only that, but Saint Yiyu was also known as an elixir pioneer. She developed many elixir refinement skills, the palm flame and all sorts of elixirs by herself. She was considered an unparalleled genius. Yi Qingtang looked a little embarrassed. She felt somewhat embarrassed to take on the title, Elixir Pioneer. Later on, the demons under the Great Immortal Temple were about to break out of the seal. Saint Yiyu found the Paragon Relic by herself and suppressed those demons. If not for Saint Yiyu, the Great Immortal Temple would have ceased to exist by now, the Blood Moon Elder said. Are you saying that the Great Immortal Temple still exists now? An inexplicable glint surfaced in Yi Qingtang's eyes. Chapter 27:27. Holy Lady, of course. Although the current Great Immortal Temple cannot be compared to its glorious past, and is being forced into a corner by the supreme faction deity realm, how can it be so easy to destroy it? The Great Immortal Temple has many rare and precious treasures. It has a heaven-defying spirit animal, the Purgatory Demon King, guarding it. Not only that, but it also has rare destruction-level divine weapons and Dharma treasures. Although the deity realm is rumored to have a perfected immortal, it will not be easy for them to destroy an elite existence like the Great Immortal Temple, which has an extremely strong foundation. Deity realm? Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. She had not heard of them. As for the Purgatory Demon King and those destruction-level divine weapons, Yi Qingtang knew that she had exchanged quite a number for her senior brothers and sisters in the high-tier ancient city in the Fourth Domain's legacy realm. Now Yi Qingtang finally understood that history had indeed changed drastically because of her. This change would always exist, and had replaced the earlier version of history. Although Yi Qingtang did know that this was very likely, she was still extremely shocked to hear that it really happened. Yiyu. Saint Yiyu of the Great Immortal Temple. It's just a pity that Saint Yiyu has been missing for tens of thousands of years. Those sages from the Great Immortal Temple once said that if Saint Yiyu didn't disappear, the Great Immortal Temple would never have declined to its current state. Actually, the main reason why the Great Immortal Temple declined was because of Lan Shan and Feng Wuyan's betrayal. The Blood Moon Elder sighed. Lan Shan and Feng Wuyan betrayed the Great Immortal Temple? Yi Qingtang was stunned by this news. How was that possible? Please keep reading on MYB0X and 0VL. C0M. In the Great Immortal Temple, Yi Qingtang was closest to Lan Shan. Yi Qingtang knew him very well. It was impossible that he betrayed the Great Immortal Temple. That's right. What kind of existence is that Feng Wuyan? I heard that Feng Wuyan was once a disciple of the Great Immortal Temple only because of Yiyu. After Saint Yiyu went missing, Feng Wuyan and his brother Feng Jiuyo left the Great Immortal Temple. Feng Wuyan then established the Deity Realm faction, just to destroy the Great Immortal Temple. The Blood Moon Elder sighed. Visit Readle me for extra chapters. Do you know why? Yi Qingtang asked with a frown. Holy Lady, how would I know? I am nobody. The Blood Moon Elder said before continuing. But there is one thing. Be it the Great Immortal Temple or the Deity Realm, they are all looking for the demon god Han Songming. These two major forces swore a vicious oath that they would skin the demon god Han Songming alive and destroy his soul, so that he would die without even a burial place. Han Songming. What did this have to do with Han Songming? That's right, Holy Lady. I heard that in the Fourth Domain Legacy Realm, it was Han Songming who captured Saint Yiyu. Therefore, the Great Immortal Temple and Deity Realm have been searching for Han Songming. I heard that 50 years after Saint Yiyu was kidnapped by Han Songming, he appeared once. He was discovered by the Temple of Paragon's Paragon, who asked Han Songming to hand over Saint Yiyu. The battle between the two of them triggered the Great Immortal Temple. In the end, several sages from the Great Immortal Temple, who rarely left the temple, went to surround Han Songming. But it seemed that Han Songming received the news in advance and fled. After that, Han Songming never reappeared and his existence is still a mystery, the Blood Moon Elder said. After hearing what the Blood Moon Elder said, Yi Qingtang was deep in thought. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.